for an assault.
Judy enters the courtroom.
Court come to order. All rise.
She takes her seat behind the bench.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2035, Rodriguez versus Gastelum.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
what kind of a premises do you live in, sir?
It's a 4-bedroom house.
And I see here that you rent out some of the rooms in order to assist with your mortgage.
That's correct.
How many rooms do you rent out?
3.
And who lives in the other?
Right now it's Kathleen Meister, and then I have 2 other roommates.
And you use one room.
Correct.
When did you rent a room to the defendant?
It was January 22,
And what was the rent that you were charging him?
$750 a month.
When he came to you, did he have a dog?
No.
When did you move in?
About late January.
Give me a day.
22nd.
And you moved in alone?
Yes, ma'am.
Paid your rent on time?
Yes, ma'am.
February, paid your rent on time?
Yes, ma'am.
Lived there alone?
Yes, ma'am.
What about March?
Did I live there alone in March also? Yes, ma'am.
When did you get a dog?
I've had my dog
No, when did you get a dog that you brought into the house?
April 22nd, 23rd.
So several months after you moved in. Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
And before you moved the dog in, did you have a discussion with the plaintiff?
Yes, ma'am.
Just prior to moving in with the dog. And what was the discussion that you had with the plaintiff?
That if it was okay if I were to bring my dog that I had in Alaska, since I had him since he was about 6-7 weeks.
And where had he been in the last 2 months?
He was still in Alaska staying with close friends, and I flew to Seattle, shipped my truck and all my belongings to Seattle and drove here. From Seattle, my dog, the person who was watching him, drove from Alaska to Montana, and I had gone to Montana to pick him up.
So you asked Mr. Rodriguez if it was okay if you brought your dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And what did he say?
Yes.
Did he say anything else?
He said, just clean
Now
up.
look at me.
He said,
Did he say anything else
clean
other
up
than...
after the dog, make sure that the dogs don't fight, and just take care of him.
Okay. Nothing about him staying out of the house?
He said he wouldn't prefer him to be around the house, but he would not. It would be okay for him to be in my room.
In your room?
Mm-hmm. The dog stayed with me in that room a few nights, and he knowingly knew about it.
No, I don't want to know what he knew. I want to know what your arrangement was. So your arrangement with him, according to you, now, I haven't asked him, but according to you, is that you asked him if you could bring your dog. He said okay for the dog to stay outside, but could stay in your room.
He said he didn't want him in the living area. My dog could also be in the garage or
in your room. And was everything okay in April when you brought the dog?
Yeah, everything was
What
fine.
about May?
May, I was looking for a new place. I was homeless because I had spent 5 days in jail.
Oh, I'm talking about before you went to jail, sir. Before you went to jail, because this case is about an assault, which is what the plaintiff is claiming. Plaintiff is claiming that you assaulted him in the home, and that took place on April 30th. That was shortly after your dog arrived.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the dog was the reason for the altercation.
A part of
Because
the reason, but that's
in
how it started.
February, March, and up until April, the end of April, when the dog was there, I see no evidence here that there was any difficulty.
You're right.
Fair statement?
Yeah.
So that the problem arose when the dog came. Now, this woman's name is Kathleen. She's interspersed in both the complaint and the answer. In this case, she had a cat. Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
He had a cat. And it was a house cat.
Yes, ma'am.
Plaintiff has a dog.
A few dogs.
And they live in the house.
Yes, they stay in the garage and in the backyard. Yes.
Garage and backyard. Do they stay in the house?
They do not go inside that.
Okay. So his dogs stay outside, and he said to you, according to you, the dogs can stay outside in the garage and in your room.
Yes.
In April, did your dog get out of your room or into the house?
Yes.
Yes. On what date?
April 30th, because I was allowing him inside to go to my room.
On April 30th, the dog was where?
In the backyard, but I was bringing him inside to come to my room.
You were bringing him from outside to come into your room. I haven't asked him. He says in his papers that the dog was supposed to remain outside. You were bringing him inside to your room.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it is your claim here that it is an emotional support dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And you also had at least a couple of months where you left the dog in Alaska.
With
right?
people I trusted.
I don't care people who you trusted or not. If you needed an emotional support animal, the emotional support animal has to travel with you. So don't show me a certificate.
Yes, ma'am.
By the way, did that certificate that you have come from a psychiatrist?
No.
No. Did it come from a psychologist?
No.
Did it come from any doctor who was treating you?
There was a doctor's note, yes.
Was a doctor who was treating you?
Yes.
Yes. Not a psychiatrist?
Not a psychiatrist, no.
Not a psychologist?
Not a psychologist.
And you took this note and you had to send it to somebody over the internet?
Yes.
And then they sent you a certificate?
Yes, and with an ID.
That's what I got. Okay, so now you're bringing the dog on April 30th from the backyard into the house, and?
He attempts to grab the dog.
No. Is the dog on a leash?
No, he's very well.
Just a sec. Is the dog on a leash?
No.
Were you holding the dog by the collar?
Yes.
And now you're taking the dog from outside to inside. What did he say to you?
No dogs in the house.
Because that's what he had said to you before. You can have your dog, but no dogs in the house. I want to tell you something. That's what I believe. So he said, no dogs in the house. And you said to him,
I'm going to bring my dog into my room.
but when you asked him if you could bring the dog to the house, there is no question in my mind that he said to you, bring the dog to the house, but the dog doesn't come into the house.
He stayed in my room a few nights prior to
I
that.
don't
He
care.
had already
Listen to me.
approved
That's what the arrangement was, sir.
Okay.
The arrangement was not what you told me before. The arrangement was with him. Yes, you can bring the dog to the house. I will let you do that. But the dog has to stay either in the garage or outside like my dogs.
Okay.
And you said, in effect, screw you. I'm bringing my dog, and I'm bringing my dog into my room.
In effect.
You're the tenant. That was the agreement. You can have the dog, but the dog must not be in the house. That's what your landlord told you. You brought the dog from Alaska, and at the very beginning, you brought the dog into your room.
Mm-hmm.
When had you decided that you were going to breach the agreement with him?
The very first night I went to receive my dog, he stayed at the house inside my room with me.
So the very first night that you brought him, you decided to breach the agreement that
He
you
had
had.
knowingly said it was okay.
Did you tell him it was okay?
Never.
I have texts.
I'd like to see it.
I have to scroll back.
Scroll
quite
to
a
wherever
while.
you have to scroll. Scroll down to the creation. I don't care. I have all day here. Nobody is hungry.
I'm a
Still
little
have 2
hungry.
more cases to do before lunch. Everybody gets a little testy, including me.
I don't have the text. I do not have the text.
Yeah, good. That's what I thought. Okay. It wasn't on the 30th that the dog got loose in the house. It was sometime before that, maybe a day or so before that. On the 30th was a day, sir, that you got locked out of the house. Uh-huh
Yes,
is
Your
not
Honor.
an answer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And what time of the day was it that you got locked out of the house?
2 o'clock after middle afternoon, late afternoon.
And according to what I read, you went to the back of the house to let yourself into the house, and you got into an altercation with Kathleen. Absolutely, she shouldn't have put her hands on and slapped you because you were fresh. Because you wouldn't be fresh to me, right?
Fresh?
Fresh. That's what you say to a child. Fresh. How old are you?
65.
How old are you?
25.
That's fresh.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Armando and Samuel.
Armando Rodriguez claims his former tenant, Samuel Gastelum, is responsible for damages from an assault. Samuel says he was the one assaulted and falsely arrested.
Now, you got into an altercation with Kathleen.
Not quite, Your Honor.
Well, tell me what happened.
I had been outside, I went out the garage, and I was playing a time-sensitive game on my Xbox. So I was going back to the room, and I knocked on the garage door. No one answered, knocked on it a few times, pounded. Then I went back around and knocked on the sliding glass door a few times, one of the few times. Finally, Kathleen comes up and answers the door. At that point, I've been out there for about 10 minutes. So I'm upset. I'm like, who locked me out? Who locked the door? She gets completely defensive. She says, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. And I'm like, I'm asking who it was. Because Armando and I had discussed.
Because you're on a time-sensitive
Yes, ma'am.
video game.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
So you were on a time-sensitive video game.
Something time
How old are you?
25 years old.
Okay, so now you're on a time-sensitive video game and somebody either on purpose or accidentally locked the door, and you think it's Kathleen.
No, I did not accuse anyone. I just
Okay.
asked was who locked me out, because I had been locked out earlier that week. Again,
Did you?
earlier by Armando.
Just a second. Did you have a key to the house?
on my-
No. Did you have...
I had a front door key,
Key.
not to the garage door, not to the sliding door.
But you had a front door key.
Yes, Your Honor, but there's a gate. There's a big fence, and I didn't have a key to the gate that was locked.
You couldn't get into the house
Yes.
even with your front door key.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, after you had a conversation with her, there was no physicality between the two of you?
Not at that moment. But once Armando came around the corner, he's like, it was me who locked you out. So me and him...
No, just a second. He said, it was me that locked you out. Did he say he did that on purpose, or was
it was an accident, is what
Did he
said.
say, okay, so he said it was me that locked you out, it was an accident?
It wasn't the first
it's
time.
not...
Yes, Your Honor.
That's yes. First, second, I've locked my children out of the house many times, sometimes on purpose,
I'm not his
sometimes
child.
by accident.
I'm his roommate.
It doesn't make any difference. So he said to you, it was an accident. And you said to him...
It's happened before.
And he said to you...
Those were accidents also.
Okay. And he said those were accidents also.
Yes.
And you said to him...
I said you need to be more attentive, more aware. If someone had just walked out and left the door unlocked, you should probably go and see if anyone's out there before you turn around and lock the door.
And he said?
He said he apologized.
So he said, I apologize.
Yes.
Okay, what's next?
Throughout that whole conversation, me and him are arguing
Okay,
back
but
and forth.
at the end, he said, I'm sorry. He said, I apologize.
It's not so clear-cut.
Well, it's at the end of this back and forth. You should have been more careful. You should look to see who's at the door. You've done it before. I'm sorry. It was an accident. I apologize. Now I haven't apologized. And
in
next.
the middle of that altercation, Kathleen kept butting in. She said, you don't talk to me like that. You don't talk to me like that. I said, I wasn't even talking to you. I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm talking to Armando. I said, mind your own business. She said, oh, you don't tell me what to do. You don't tell me what to do. I said, mind your own business. She said, say that to me one more time. I said, mind your own business. She walks across the hall and she slaps me across the face, and Armando grabs her hand right after she smacks me. And instead of retaliating aggressively or any type of thing, I call the police. Immediately call the police. And while we're waiting there for the police, that's when I get the apology from Armando. That's when he's like, okay, let's make a deal. Let's try to work this out before the police get there. The police get there, they ask me what had happened.
And you say that this older woman slapped you because you were
across
fresh.
the face.
Because you were fresh.
No, because
she shouldn't have put her hands on and slapped you because you were fresh. Because you wouldn't be fresh to me, right?
Fresh?
Fresh. That's what you say to a child. Fresh. You were being fresh. And she should not have put her hands on you. Would I have called the police about that? Maybe.
Except I am not a child, Your Honor. I'm not a child. I'm not related to these people.
I just said to you, you were being fresh. How old are you?
65.
How old are you?
25.
That's fresh. That's fresh, because first you accused her of locking you out.
I didn't accuse her.
Yeah. Okay. So after she slapped you, the police arrived. They left. She said, she slapped you. Yes. You have marks. You have cuts. You have bruises. You have abrasions. No. They left. Well, what did you expect when you called the police for them to arrest her? What did you want them to do, sir?
Was I supposed to retaliate? How was I supposed to retaliate? Was I supposed to hit her back?
Just a second. No.
Okay, then what was I supposed to do?
I'm not telling you what to do.
Okay.
I'm just asking you, sir, did you expect them, when you called the police, to arrest Kathleen because she slapped you?
No, I expected there to be consequences for her assaulting me.
What? So
I don't know what
did
the
you think?
consequences
So
were.
what did you think that they should do?
Whatever they feel was right. Whatever is justice.
Okay. Now let's move on. So now the police are gone, and
I go speak to Armando. I asked why he sacrificed his integrity for lying for Kathleen, for saying that she didn't slap him, because he told the police he witnessed no such event. He didn't see nothing, even though he was standing right there, grabbed her hand. Kathleen says she didn't do it, and the police came up to me before they left. They said, they're telling me something else. I just don't believe you. I just like, okay, well, what else can I do? I go to Armando, and I'm like, why would you sacrifice your integrity? Why would you lie to the police? Why would you let another roommate physically assault me and just no consequences whatsoever? And at that point is when I tried to bring my dog inside and just go straight to my room.
Just a second. So at that time, after this hot spot is over,
it got heated again.
Got heated again. Your reaction was childish, and you said, I'm going to get my dog that I was told not to bring in the house, and I'm going to bring my dog in the house.
I was going to my...
Just a second. I don't care if you were going to Pluto. Your reaction after this was, they can't tell me what to do. I'm going outside, and I'm going to bring my dog inside. He'll let you bring the dog to the house, but the dog can't come in the house, stays outside with his dogs. There's only one animal in the house, and that's Kathleen's house cat. That's it. So you went to bring your dog from outside to in the house.
Yes, Your Honor.
In violation of the agreement that you had with your landlord. After the police had come, I just want you to realize what's going on.
Oh,
You know, I just want you to realize that they don't actually keep me here because I'm 5'6" and gorgeous. I understand what happened when you were disappointed that Kathleen had slapped you like a child because you were fresh. And she's not your mother, and she had no right, even your mother doesn't have a right to put their hands on you.
Correct.
But you got slapped, not injured, no broken jaw, no broken skin. Police didn't see anything because if they did, they would have arrested somebody. And they left. And you were royally miffed. Because you got locked out of the house for which he apologized, you missed your time-sensitive video game. Now, I'm not sure what that is, because I'm not a 25-year-old idiot that plays video games during the day.
Caption coming up. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Armando and Samuel.
Armando Rodriguez is accusing his former roommate, Samuel Gastelum, of breaking their rental agreement and assaulting him. Samuel claims he was falsely arrested after Armando lied to the police.
Now, several things that happened that day, right? You got locked out and you were playing a time-sensitive video game.
Yes, Your Honor.
And because you got locked out of the house for which he apologized, you missed your time-sensitive video game. Now, I'm not sure what that is, because I'm not a 25-year-old idiot that plays video games during the day. When I was 25 years old, I actually worked. I did, I actually worked. I know that may seem foreign to you, but I did actually work. And so after all of this altercation took place, you said, now I'm gonna show him, now I'm gonna bring my dog into the house. And then there was another altercation. Second one.
Yes.
That's the one we're talking about. By the way, maybe I'm being terribly unkind to you, sir. How do you support yourself?
I work.
For whom?
Pretty foreign, I know.
For whom?
I'm a cultivator.
You work 5 days a week?
Yes, Your Honor. And in my free time,
What do you
I like to
cultivate?
play video
What do you
games.
what do you cultivate?
Marijuana, cannabis.
How long have you worked for them?
Since March, so about 5 months.
Prior to that, you were in Alaska.
Prior to January, I was in Alaska. Before March, before getting the job at the cultivation facility for cannabis, I was helping my uncles do concrete. So working isn't very foreign to me, as you might see.
Prior to March, you were working with your uncles in concrete.
Yes,
Where?
Your Honor. In Victorville, in California.
You were working. You were working for your uncle prior to March, getting a job as a cultivator. And what I want to know is, how long had you been separated from your emotional support dog?
I spent 4 months away from him, and those 4 months were from January to April. For finding a
January,
job.
February, March, April. And what were you doing in Alaska?
I was born and raised in Alaska.
Alaska is not a that's not a job, sir. What were you doing in Alaska?
I was, for the last 6 months of my time in Alaska, I was a bud tender.
Okay, tell me what happened after the dog incident.
Well, the dog comes in. He says that he's not going to follow house rules anymore. He says as of right now, he's going to do what he wants to do. So he just gets the dog from the backyard and he comes inside the house. And I feel that it's my responsibility to enforce the house rules. So I physically grab his dog and I move the dog from inside the house to the backyard. That happens once. He gets the dog and then he physically puts him back in the house.
Where in the house?
This is, you could say, the kitchen area. So now I basically attempt to repeat what I did the first time. So I physically grab the dog a second time and I'm now physically taking him out, at which point he gets from behind me and he puts me into a chokehold and I black out. I come to, I look for my phone, I find my phone, dial 911, police show up like in maybe 2 or 3 minutes and I'm still trying to get.
And that's the assault that you are referring to today. Did the EMS check you out?
I was taken to the hospital.
May I see the report?
Yeah, I got a report and then I have
He produces a document.
the bills associated with with.
Was Kathleen a witness to this?
She saw.
No, don't tell me what she saw. Was she a witness to any part of that?
Yeah,
Yes or no?
yeah.
Okay. Would you step up, please?
Kathleen stands at Armando's side.
Tell me at what point you came in on this altercation.
When they were arguing about the dog.
The first time or the second time? Or you don't know whether...
I don't really know.
Were you a witness to any of the physical confrontation that resulted in Mr. Rodriguez going to the hospital?
I knew that they...
Don't tell me what you knew.
Okay.
It's what you saw.
Okay, what I saw was Armando trying to put the dog back outside because he's a big pit bull, right? And then he would put him out, and then Samuel would bring him back in. And then the last time, Armando was putting him back outside, and Samuel came behind Armando. And what I did was I left and went and called the police because I was afraid he was going to get hurt.
All right, sir. Now tell me your version of those events.
Could I show her statement from the previous court?
No, I want you to first tell me your version of the events.
So I let Apollo inside. My dog's name is Apollo, and he's going to grab Apollo to let him out. And we're both kind of grabbing Apollo, pulling him, we're both kind of fighting over him a little bit. As I'm pulling him inside more, Armando starts grabbing me. And so we get into this altercation, and we're like wrestling back and forth.
Just a second. He's trying to get your pit bull outside, and at the same time he's grabbing you? Is that the...
No, it was, we were both grabbing the dog.
So you were trying to keep the dog inside, and he was trying to put the dog outside?
I was trying to take him to my room, yes. Take him.
You were trying to take him to your room. He was trying to put him outside.
Yes.
And?
As we're both kind of fighting for the dog, he grabs me. He lets go of the dog and then grabs me.
How did he grab you?
He grabs me by the arm, and then he like starts tugging a little bit, and so we're wrestling. We just start wrestling, and it gets a little bit more violent. And I go to restrain him, and he's hitting me. He's hitting me from with his arms. He's trying to scratch me, and I just restrained him until I felt not threatened no more. I released him. I get up. I grab my dog. I go to the room. I call the police.
Mm-hmm. Do you have your medical records that day?
They would not take me. They didn't.
Not they would not take you. Do you have your medical records for that day?
I have my arrest report that says apparently they didn't.
May I see the arrest report, please?
They refused to take pictures.
Don't tell me what they didn't do. I could read.
Kevin takes the document from Samuel, then brings it to Judy.
Do you have medical insurance, sir?
No.
None. Okay, so you had an emergency room CT scan that was $8,640.62. The other bill for that day was for radiology, which was $518. This is the emergency room, which was $1,109. Okay, well, that takes us over this court's limit jurisdictionally. Now, you, sir, subsequently had a hearing with regard to this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you testify, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you testify, sir?
I did.
At the end of that hearing, was there a restraining order granted or not?
It was granted.
For how long? Do you have a copy of that?
I have a copy.
It was a year.
So a judge, like me, probably not as good looking, after hearing, so I don't have to hear it, all of the evidence, the judge found that there was more evidence than not that you assaulted the plaintiff and granted the plaintiff an order of protection for 1 year. After that happened, you were still in the house.
After the assault or after the hearing?
After the assault.
After the assault, I was arrested and
then you
taken to
came
jail
back
for
to the
5
house.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's what I asked. You were still in the house, but
Yeah.
you're no longer in the house.
No.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
He's a liar, and I told the truth, and I won the case.
I didn't aggressively attack him.
That was the rules that I had set. My dogs don't even come in the house.
I defended myself and my dog.
Sarah and Judy.
I think there was some genuine confusion on the defendant's behalf about the term fresh.
When I said to him, you were fresh to an older person.
Exactly. You know, he had a little bit of an attitude, a little.
For living expenses, stolen property, and vet bills.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2049, Councilman versus Jorge Watson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Horath, this is your mother,
Yes, ma'am.
and this is your girlfriend.
My fiance, yes.
Is she divorced?
She's widowed.
Since when?
June 6th,
Of what year?
2022.
Well, let me understand this. Prior to you being a widow, you were involved with Mr. Horath. Were you divorced?
I was going through a divorce.
Okay. And then he passed away.
Yes.
Mr. Horath, in 2013, you were incarcerated. How long?
5 years.
And you have 2 little girls.
Yes, ma'am.
When you were incarcerated, were the children living with you
No.
prior to being incarcerated?
Yes.
They were living with you?
Yes.
When you went to prison, was there any reason the children didn't go with their mother?
She left him with my mother.
So your mother obtained custody of your children 9 years ago
Yes.
and raised them.
Yes.
You got out of prison when?
September 2017.
And when you got out of prison, your mother invited you to come and live in the house?
Yes.
In her house?
Yes, ma'am.
Who else lives in her house?
My grandmother.
Who I understand from these papers is suffering from
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's. So your mother was taking care of her mother and your two daughters.
Yes.
So your fiance now, who looks as if she's expecting a child, was your mother's next door neighbor?
Yes.
And you became involved with her when?
End of October 2020, or 19, I'm sorry.
And when you became involved with her, you have two children.
Yes.
You invited her with your mother's permission to move in to your mother's house with her two children.
Yes, ma'am.
We did agree that she could move in and stay in the guest.
Had you been living in the house by yourself with the two girls?
Yes, I have.
How large a house is it?
It's pretty good, decent size. It was a 1,980 square feet, now expanded out another 800 feet, so quite. 5 bedrooms, 3 baths.
How do you support yourself?
I own my own business. I'm a nurse. Due to the fact of taking care of my granddaughters and my parents at the time, I had to resign from Fort Irwin, working there because of couldn't commit to the hours. So because of that, I went ahead and got my own business of doing home infusions, and that started right before the pandemic. And so I work a lot.
Anybody help you take care, before they moved in, anybody help you take care of the girls and your mother?
No, it was me.
Now, what kind of work do you do?
I'm a truck driver.
And you?
Nursing student and mother?
So you don't work?
No.
How do you support yourself?
I was going to school and...
Well, supporting yourself doesn't go to school unless you were getting money for going to school. Were you getting money for going to school?
Yes.
From whom?
From financial aid.
How much?
Maybe like $800, $900 a month. And this was before I was living with Danny and Nancy.
And after you moved in with Danny and Nancy?
I was helping her take care of her mother, and her VA was paying me to take care of her.
She was getting the Veterans Aid and Attendance. I gave her that extra money to help out with my mom and those expenses.
And then currently, I'm taking care of our young son we have together.
So you have a child together and expecting another one?
Yes.
So then you'll have 4 children, you, correct?
Yes.
And you will have 4 children.
I will have 4 children, yes.
Sounds as if your mother did some very nice things for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds as if Miss Castleman did some very nice things for you.
Yes.
Why do you think she's suing you?
Out of anger,
Mr. Horath, why would she be angry at either one of you?
because we decided that we were going to go ahead off and do our own thing, and she was no longer included in being part of that.
Like what?
Well, being part of a family or a unit. Once my grandmother's health declined and she went to a facility, there was no more communication about anything that was going on around the house anymore.
I don't know what you mean by that. Your fiance's arrangement was that she was being paid by the VA to take care of your grandmother.
Yes.
And then your grandmother, according to you, had to go into a facility,
Yes.
which means your fiance isn't getting any more payment from the VA.
Correct.
Now, you're working, you drive a truck.
Yes.
Were you contributing towards the running of the household?
Oh, of course. Yes.
How much?
Whatever needed to be paid.
No. Tell me what you paid.
I paid the Edison, half the Edison.
Well, that's not a set amount.
I
Do you
paid
understand?
$300 a month.
Well, that's an amount. So you paid $300 a month towards the Con Edison.
Yes, ma'am.
What else did you pay?
We paid for the trash,
How much was the trash?
$50 a month.
What else?
I paid for the food
For who?
for our family.
Well, for all of you or just for you, your fiance, and the 4 children?
And my grandmother, yes, and my grandmother, and Nancy, too.
Not for me.
Shh. Speak.
She would come over and have dinner with us quite often. And I would make her meals and send them to her.
What you're saying is, because I read when you said she would come over for dinner, there came a time when there were an awful lot of people living in the house, and your mother, because it was so crowded, moved into a trailer on the premises, and you moved into the master suite.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Say thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Now, did you pay for anything else that you're not telling me?
Yes, we paid for the internet.
Their internet.
Yes.
Shh. For your own internet?
Yes.
I'm talking about expenses for the house. I assume the mortgage was paid off. Is that what
Yes.
you wrote
Yes.
here?
Danny
Yes.
did pay for the property taxes.
Okay. Well, then that was my next question. Property taxes. Did you pay for any of that?
Yes.
How much did you pay?
It was $64 a year.
Anything else?
Remodeling expenses that we did to the home.
I know it was expanded, and it was expanded after you were there.
Yes.
Yes. And do you know how much the remodeling expenses were?
The additions were done before I came home, but everything else was added to when we were living there.
Like what?
The pellet stove had went out, so we bought a new one.
Oh, I'm not interested.
Okay.
I'm not interested in that. I'm talking about regular. So let me get to my trusty computer. We have $300 a month for Con Ed. So I don't even have to do that. I could do 1, 2, 6, 4. Everybody knows me now. I'm a little challenged with regard to these things. Divided by 12 equals $105 a month. And $300 a month for Con Ed and $50 for trash is $5. So you paid in total the expenses that you told me, $455 a month for living in a 5-bedroom house. I'm just setting the stage for this. You paid $455 a month for living in a 5-bedroom house, and your mother moved out to live in a trailer so that you could be in the master suite with your fiance, a new baby, and one on the way. Those are the objective facts that I have.
Okay.
Now, so I asked you, because your mother is suing for a lot of stuff, and I don't understand why somebody would take this approach when she was nothing but good to both of you. You screwed up your life. She got stuck raising your 2 children, working full-time, and taking care of a sick mother. You go to school, and you're a full-time mother, but that's very nice, but she's not your mother, she's not your grandmother, she's nobody to you. Mm-hmm. And she took you in and your 2 children. What do you think you did to make her so angry that she would sue you? I'm curious.
I honestly don't know.
Well, you started to tell me that you moved on because she ultimately gave you notice to leave.
We actually gave her notice we were leaving, and that's when all that started.
Okay. Did you also tell your mother that you wanted to buy the house?
Yes, I did.
From her?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Well, that started the trouble. And your mother's response was?
Of course. She said, okay.
And what happened?
I went and applied for a loan. They told me that I did not meet the criteria for the loan. I said, okay, that's fine. What about a rent-to-own option to buy? And she said, okay. We tried to get a real estate agent to go ahead and write out the contract. At that point in time, she wanted to move one of her nurses onto the property, into the trailer that she was living in. I did not feel comfortable with a stranger living on our property. I don't know them. I don't want them around my children. I don't know who they are. And if I'm going to be buying a home, I wouldn't want to.
You're not buying anything. You were renting.
With the option to buy. I want to buy the home, and then when I go back to apply for the loan in a year, I was going to buy the home.
Maybe not. Mr. Horath, so far, you see, you have somebody who has done all things to make your life, which you screwed up a little bit, more comfortable. Takes you in, takes your girls in, takes your girlfriend in, takes your girlfriend's kids in, allows you to have more latitude and more freedom by moving herself out of her own home, which is totally paid off, into a trailer so that you could be more comfortable. And she said, you want to buy the house? Fine. You couldn't get a loan. Well, could I rent to buy? She says, okay. But she's still a working person, as opposed to your fiancé.
Caption, coming up.
You ratified the gift by buying her something that could only be utilized with that machine. So I'm not interested in the machine. Could we move forward, please? I have 7 years of postgraduate education. I'm getting very tired of this case.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Nancy, Danny, and Trinity.
Nancy Castleman claims her son, Danny Horath, and his fiancée, Trinity Watson, owe for living expenses and stolen property. Danny and Trinity say they always paid their share of the bills.
Okay. Now, she's still a working person, and she said, I would like to move one of my nurses. She's not talking about moving in some sex offender into a trailer next to her grandchildren, who she's raised. So I wouldn't see what your problem is with that, but that's neither here nor there. So that started an acrimonious separation. I'm not going to rent the house because I'm not going to allow you to move somebody that I don't know, I'm not even going to meet them, somebody that I don't know into the trailer. Where are you living now?
We have our own home now.
Where?
Because we didn't agree with, we didn't want to live with her nurse, so we went
Just a second. I said the question is, where is your own home?
in Hellendale,
Is that where she lives?
near
How near?
10 miles up the road.
And when did you move there?
July 14th.
How big a house?
It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath.
Who owns the house?
We're renting
And how much are you paying in rent?
$2,500.
So you got a smaller house at 5 times what you were paying her. Is that what I'm hearing? You paid $455 monthly to your mother.
We also paid her van payment, but we
What?
also used the van. Her van payment, it was $900 a month.
Did you use the van?
Yes.
Good. Then you,
Well,
good.
we used it to also take her mother to,
Did you use the van
yes,
for you and your children and his children?
yes.
Yes. Okay, good. So I want to know if she's right down the road and she was good to you for a decade, why is she not included with your family anymore?
She chose not to be.
Really?
Yeah, she wants to work all the time. When we invite her to do things or family functions or church functions, she would never come.
Well, you say never. You just moved out a month ago.
This is prior to us moving out. We haven't talked to her since we moved.
You mean prior to you moving out, you would invite her? And what you said was, could you read that back? She's working all the time? Is that, I just want to know if that's what he said.
He said, yeah, she wants to work all the time. When we invite her to do things or church functions, she would never come.
Okay. Unpaid living expenses, electric bill. All right, let's get to the electric bill. He said he paid $300 a month. What does he owe for the electric bill and for what months?
I was on a level pay plan for every month, and it went up higher. The rates have increased for in the past year. So that was $900. It was $1,800, the bill that came out. So it actually increased over the last year, and I have copies of that. So I asked for them to pay half.
Did they ever pay the extra money?
No.
Okay. And they continue to live there?
That just came up in May, yes.
Okay, well, then I'm not interested in that. Go ahead.
And
what else?
so-
What other living expenses?
Well, the other electric bill, they were still there. They didn't pay for that one.
Which
was
one?
The one from June to July.
Were you there in June, July?
Yes, ma'am. And I have evidence that I did pay. I
Okay,
did pay
I'd like
for
to
some.
see it.
Paid 3, not the whole amount.
No, I did pay.
Just let me see that you paid it.
Danny produces a document, then hands it to Kevin. He brings it to Judy, who reviews it.
June 19th, $600.
That was not for this electric bill. It was for the,
No, that was for Edison.
It says Con Edison.
Yes.
There was another bill that still needed. It was like $723.
I don't care.
That he owed me
I
for
don't
it.
care. He paid $600 in June of 2022. You have vet bills here and personal items taken without permission. And the personal items taken without permission, you took some of her things. What did you take that didn't belong to you?
Nothing.
Well, you acknowledged that you did. You acknowledged that either you or your fiance took things that didn't belong to you. You said you returned them, but you took them.
They were packed by other family members that were helping us pack.
And?
So
they were taken without her permission.
Yes.
By your agents, by people who were helping you, so they were your agents. What was taken?
I guess there was a gun that
Not guess, I don't want to hear guess.
There was a gun that was packed.
Okay. Did you get the gun back?
I got the gun back next day.
It was returned, yes.
What else?
That's as far as I know.
What else was missing?
The ammo.
The ammunition for the gun.
I don't have any ammunition.
I wouldn't have a gun without ammo.
Well, go and look for it. What else?
KitchenAid machine.
What is that?
A KitchenAid for mixing and making. I bought that for my mom. They took that.
That was given to us by my grandmother because she can no longer bake, or actually given to her because she bakes.
And she even, for Mother's Day, Nancy brought, her and Granny, her mother, Nancy brought me the attachment. It makes pasta for the KitchenAid for Mother's Day. So she was aware that her mother gave me, when she moved to the facility, that she gave me the
Oh, she moved to a facility, she can't make a gift. If she's moving to a facility because she has Alzheimer's, she can't make a gift.
I have power of attorney over her.
Shh. Now, if what you're telling me is that you did take it and that the plaintiff sort of ratified that by buying you an attachment for it for Mother's Day, that I'll ask her about. Okay. Now, Ms. Castleman, listen to me very carefully. Did you buy Miss Watson around Mother's Day a pasta attachment for the KitchenAid?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay.
For my mom. With my mom.
I don't...
Because they were supposed to be cooking together.
No. No. You bought an attachment for it, and if you buy an attachment, that was a gift, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you made the gift, you handed the gift to whom?
To Trinity.
Right. So even if your mother didn't have the mental capacity, you could have argued, to make a gift, and it was yours, you ratified the gift by buying her something that could only be utilized with that machine. So I'm not interested in the machine. Could we move forward, please? I have 7 years of postgraduate education. I'm getting very tired of this case.
Okay.
Anything else? Vet bill. Now we'll get to the vet bill. Okay. You had to go to the emergency room when and for what, Ms. Castleman?
I was having issues with my stomach. I was diagnosed with diverticulitis and had to go to the
I can imagine. When?
That was in June, beginning of June.
June of this year. Who took you to the emergency room?
I had to take an Uber. I couldn't drive.
Who was home?
Trinity and her family.
And her family. And when you went to the emergency room, where was the van?
The van was at the home.
Why didn't she take you to the emergency room?
She said she couldn't do that. She said that she was too busy and stressed out.
Is that right?
I was dealing, my children's father just passed away that day.
And I was there with
Just a second. You were separated from him. Why couldn't you take her to the emergency room?
Because my children just found out that their dad passed away.
That
So
was
I
the
was
day
dealing with
before.
their emotions.
Just a second. I'm just trying to figure out why you couldn't take her to the emergency room. You've been living with your mother for a while now, since you got out of jail. How many times has your mother been to the emergency room?
Quite a few.
How many?
More than 10 that I know of.
And did you take her to the emergency room since you've been home?
I
from
have
jail?
before, yes.
How many times did you take her?
2 to 3 times, at least.
When was the last time you took her?
Maybe a year ago.
And what was wrong then?
Her sciatic nerve.
Did you wait with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, because that's the right thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me a second.
Get it.
Judy produces a fly swatter, then swats a fly with it.
Don't write to me if you're a fly lover. I don't care.
Caption, coming up.
You did absolutely nothing wrong. If I looked up the word ungrateful in the dictionary, their pictures would be there.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Nancy, Danny, and Trinity.
Nancy Castleman has accused her son, Danny Horath, and his fiancée, Trinity Watson, of taking advantage of her kindness. Danny and Trinity claim Nancy became upset when they stopped doing her favors.
Well, Miss Watson, I know that you have an excuse. If it were me and I had been living off somebody else for years, I would have put my kids in the van and say, we have to take Grandma to the emergency room. That would just be me. And deal with my children in the van 5 minutes later.
And I would have if I wasn't dealing with my children at the time, and she was aware of that. I think she even took a Lyft or an Uber. She let me know it was okay.
I'm just telling you. I'm trying to get some sympathy going for the two of you. I'm not getting any sympathy going for the two of you. Did she ask you to watch her dog?
No, she, like normal, I have a dog too on the property, and it was a mutual agreement that anytime one of us were gone, we would always make sure the dog went out to use the restroom. But the day her dog had an injury, I wasn't home.
Where were you?
Gymnastics competition.
It just happened at night.
When was your dog injured?
On the day that I went to the ER. I asked her before, I said, I have to go, my Lyft is here, you know, and can you feed my dogs? And because they're in their trailer still, and Molly's still on the bed, and I didn't want her jumping down, and can you take them out? I don't know when I'll be back. The Uber was there, or the Lyft was there, and I left. And when I came back home, it was about 5:30 in the morning. I noticed the dogs were in there, and that Asher was cut up. He had big old laceration.
Did you know what happened? Could you figure out what happened?
No, I think I know now they probably it was probably under their trailer while he was out, because she did say that she took him out, but she forgot to feed them, and she was home.
That night I was home, yeah.
Did you see her dog injured?
No.
Did you feed her dog that day?
No, I did forget to feed the dogs. I took her small dog, Tamale, off the bed, and I had them go out, and then I put them right back in, and I went back on to the house.
And you forgot to feed them?
Yes, I did.
Okay. But when you went in there, the dog was not injured?
No, he was not.
Okay. The last part of this, and then I'm actually finished. Money owed for unpaid living expenses. Anything other than what we have discussed?
They're supposed to pay rent.
Starting when?
It was supposed to initially have been in November for January of 2022, because since my mom had to go, away because she couldn't take care of her anymore, I had to do what I have to do.
You mean after she stopped watching your mother?
Mm-hmm. That's when I mostly enforced it. But there are text messages that they agreed to pay.
I'd like to see them.
Okay.
I understand, Mr. Horath and Miss Watson, that the agreement was that you would live there paying certain expenses but not rent, as long as you, Miss Watson, and or Mr. Horath, when you were home, would take care of her mother so that she could work.
Yes.
Yes.
And that stopped at a particular point.
Yes, in May.
That stopped in May.
Yes.
Okay.
Judy reviews a printout of a text exchange.
Well, it does seem that there were arguments back and forth about these expenses, but never wholly an understanding that that was going to happen.
Your Honor, I had several conversations with my son while he's truck driving. He didn't really talk to her particularly because I think she had a lot of influence on that. He would have done the
Whether
right
he
thing.
did or whether he did, this comes from Danny himself. He says, okay, check this out. I'll call the state inspectors for the septic room additions in the bathroom that needs permits first.
She did.
Just a second. What kind of thing is that? How many times have you been married?
2.
And how old are you?
37.
How many times have you been married?
2.
And how old are you?
28.
And that's 2 in addition to this current engagement.
No, then it would just be 1.
And you?
Just 1.
Well, then you're not married, so you've each been married once before.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want you to look at your mother. Maybe in the next couple of years, maybe, she will be here, and maybe she won't. I'm sure when you married the first time, you expected that to be forever because you made a couple of children, right?
Yes.
I hope you'll be able to see that face for a very long time, but she had another husband before you. You're only going to have one mother. And your mother was really good to you and really good to a stranger and her children. And she didn't invite them in and say, well, I'm going to apply for some assistance because now, no. She worked all the time. According to you, she chose to work. She chose to work all the time instead of going to church with you. You have no idea how ridiculous that sounds. You have no idea how ridiculous it sounds to me that Miss Watson says to me, I have children. I can't work. Well, she had 2 children, yours. And she worked and had your 2 children that she had to take care of. And she's much older than Miss Watson. Do you understand?
Yes.
If you have a work ethic, you have a work ethic. If you don't have a work ethic, you don't have a work ethic. But right now, she took care of you since you got out of jail. That's a long time. And for you to cut her off from yourself and her grandchildren is pretty outrageous to me. But you're 37 years old, and you have 4 children. Now 6, because they don't have a father anymore, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I don't know what you were doing with all your extra money, but to your mother you were paying $400 a month for a 5-bedroom house, and now you're paying $2,500 a month rent in a 3-bedroom house, and I assume that that's plus trash, Con Edison, and internet, and everything else that goes along with the house. So I don't know who's paying for that, unless you were just stashing away money. I don't know. I doubt it. I don't even want to go into it. Anyway, Miss Castleman, it's not worth it. You did the right thing with him. You took him in. You did absolutely nothing wrong. But you didn't have a contract with him. And you didn't have a contract with her. And I can't enforce giving you money when there was no enforceable contract. But if I looked up the word ungrateful in the dictionary, their pictures would be there. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Nancy, then Danny, and Trinity.
I'm grateful for the things that she did say so they can understand where I'm coming from.
She has no control. She gets upset and wants to see revenge in any way she can.
Those words are not from him. I know my son.
We had a good relationship before all of this transpired.
They don't get it.
Well, I hope that we can all eventually get back to that point for the sake of the kids.
Judy and Sarah.
You know, I don't think that there's a legal lesson there to learn, Sarah.
I know, it's just so unfortunate because I feel for the plaintiff. As a grandmother, as a mother, you try and do the right thing, and just to feel so taken advantage of. And I didn't hear a good reason. I was waiting the whole time to hear a good reason for why she was this terrible person that they had to move away from, but it never came.
Well, the only thing that I came up with was that she agreed to let them rent the house, rent to buy.
Yes.
Because they couldn't buy the house. They didn't have sufficient funds. But there was a condition. Now, she was living in a...
Ex-boyfriend Derek Jones for personal property.
Judge Judy enters.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2063, Martin versus Hancock Jones.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Martin, how old are you, sir?
I'm 46.
Who is this with you?
This is my girlfriend, Kimberly.
Case is not unusual, but sad. Mr. Martin, you had a long history of drug addiction.
I did.
From when to when?
From 2002 until December 1st, 2020. I've been clean for 2 years on the 1st of December.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Did you manage to get clean by going into a residential facility?
I did, yes.
How long were you in a residential facility?
I was in 23 days in an inpatient facility, and I was just over a month in an outpatient facility.
Are you currently working?
I am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a production manager for a soap and bath bomb company.
How long have you been working for them?
A year yesterday.
Are you in touch with your folks?
I am.
Back in their good graces?
Yes, ma'am.
There was a time when that wasn't true.
Correct.
This is what I gather this case is about. Miss Hancock was your girlfriend.
Yes.
For how long?
We dated from November 2019 until April 2020. We separated for a few months and got back together in July 2020 and separated again in September 2020, so 7 months.
And it would be a fair statement, sir, that the reasons that you separated on both instances is because you relapsed into using drugs.
Yes.
And it would also be a fair statement that the first time you left the house at the defendant's request, you were unsuccessful permanently from ridding yourself of addiction, but you thought you were okay and you asked her to take you back.
Yes.
And she did.
Yes.
And you would have to acknowledge to me that made her, A, a forgiving person.
Very.
And someone who cared about you.
Yes.
I say all that to you because it's not my job today to exacerbate what appears to be a strained situation, which I assume from your papers has resulted in a final protective order in favor of Miss Hancock, keeping you away from her for how many years?
Permanently.
Forever.
Yes.
And that was after a criminal case was resolved, and that was a criminal stalking case.
Yes.
That was resolved, and it was resolved in her favor probably, and I don't know this for certain, probably with a plea from you.
Yes.
And when you enter a plea, the judge always asks you, you understand your right to have a trial, you have a right to examine witnesses, you have a right to call witnesses, and by making this admission, it is the same thing as a guilty verdict.
Correct.
Judge did tell you that.
Yes.
I assume. I mean, I remember making those statements many, many times. A long, long time ago. I'm surprised I still remember any of it. And you're supposed to remain away from her.
Yes.
So the first question I have, well, I know why you're here. You're here because you say the last time she threw you out, and she threw you out not only because she found drugs that you were using again, but she had a fear that you were selling drugs out of the house, and she couldn't be involved with that, which is perfectly legitimate. You would have to acknowledge that.
Absolutely.
You'd also acknowledge, and I'm reading these papers sort of between the lines, your complaint, her answer, and the countersuit, that Miss Hancock had a child.
Yes.
A son.
Yes.
How old? When you were
15
living?
at the time.
And uber impressionable age, and the fact that you were abusing drugs in the house, it really exposed him to something that a teenager shouldn't be exposed to because his mother has feelings for that person who's drug addicted.
Yes.
And I assume you had warm feelings at some point for this 15-year-old.
Absolutely.
At the time, your parents had asked you to leave the house.
I was living with my parents at the time. Jennifer asked me to move into the house because Mr. Jones had placed a GPS tracker on her car, and she was concerned about her safety with him.
So you were dating at the time?
Yes, I was living with my parents before I moved in, yes.
Okay. Was that a happy situation?
At the time it was, yes. It didn't get difficult for lack.
Moved away from that. And when you moved in with Miss Hancock, according to you, you were not paying rent.
Correct.
You were, in fact, working.
I was.
And according to you, you were working, not paying rent, and buying certain things for the house in lieu of rent. That's what you say in your papers.
Yes, I bought things for the house. Yes.
Those were exactly the words that you swore to. You said, I also spent over $10,000 on things for her place.
Correct.
In lieu of paying to live there.
Correct.
What things did you buy?
I bought a dryer.
Dryer?
I put $1,200 into her son's Ford, fixing it. I bought...
Okay, so you paid for some things for her son. What else did you buy for the house?
We went to Costco several times and spent $1,000.
Okay, so you
towels.
went, just a second. Yeah. I'm not interested in Costco several times. Yeah. You know, you do use toilet paper, don't you?
Absolutely.
What else did you buy for the household?
I bought a battery for a Ford car. I bought a Keurig. I bought a rug, towels. I paid for the vacations while we were together. I bought some home lights for the outside.
Come on, keep going. What else did you buy?
And
what else did you buy for the house? So far, we're not close to $10,000.
That's all.
Well, you swore to the fact that you spent $10,000, that you bought things for the house in lieu of rent. So far, you've given me maybe $2,500.
Okay.
And that includes a couple of trips to Costco. So I want to know, what else did you buy for the house? Did you buy televisions for the house?
I bought televisions.
Just a second. How many televisions did you buy?
I bought two.
And how much were they?
One was $1,700, the other one was $500.
What else did you buy for the house?
Those are the only items I remember buying for the house.
Great. Now, what items do you claim that, because that's what this is about so far, what items do you claim that Miss Hancock kept that belonged to you when she told you to leave the second time?
I have text messages saying...
No, don't tell me text. I don't want to hear text messages. I want to hear what items you claim are your property that she kept when she told you to leave the second time. That requires things: a fishbowl, a guppy, a pair of shoes, a tie. And if you say any of those things, I'm going to throw you out of here because I don't waste my time over guppies.
Yeah.
So tell me what you are alleging that she kept.
2 TVs.
Okay.
An entertainment center.
Just a second. You didn't tell me an entertainment. You told me you bought 2 TVs, $1,700 and $500. That would fit into the $10,000 of what you spent in the house. Entertainment center. What did you pay for the entertainment center?
Originally, I paid $1,200.
What else?
I'm also asking for the return of a rehab center that she was kicked me out of, $2,500.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. Keep going.
Okay. And then 47 Nintendo 64 games.
47 what?
Nintendo 64 games.
So, Mr. Martin, because I'm going to make short shrift of this case, as you can see right now, and your girlfriend looks like a nice lady. I don't know why you're here.
Caption, coming up.
You seem to have problems with boyfriends. You got to start picking them better.
I do.
This one put a tracker on you. This one, you have a protective order permanently. You have to figure these things out before ultimately you get very hurt.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brian, Jennifer, and Derek.
Brian Martin claims his ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Hancock, and her ex-boyfriend, Derek Jones, owe for personal property. Jennifer and Derek are countersuing for harassment.
Okay, so far, all the things that you told me that you bought for the house barely add up to the $10,000 that you swore that you purchased for things for the house in lieu of paying rent. Do you understand?
I do. If I may also add, when we were separated the first time, I sold my marital home for $47,000. I cashed it at my bank and I put it into an account with her that I was an authorized user on. I did not get that money back because she removed my name from the account. So that money also went to purchase things while we were together that were for the house. I don't remember specifically what we bought. It was close to $20,000 that wasn't returned.
But Mr. Martin, I can understand that. But you know, this is a court.
Okay.
This is not a guessing game. This is not a game show. If you're saying that because of whatever reason you put your money into an account that she had access to and you spent money together on the house from that account. I can't help you with that.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I do.
I mean, it was a time that was a fog. Did Miss Hancock and or Mr. Jones ever return any property to you or to your parents' house?
They did on November
Okay.
20th.
That was in 2021?
Yes.
What month in 2021 did they return things to your parents' house?
It was November 20th to the 21st during the night.
Were you present?
I was not. I did not live there.
So I would assume that you found out that that property was delivered to your parents' house from either Miss Hancock or your parents.
My parents.
And your parents aren't here today.
They are not.
Your girlfriend was not there when they were delivered.
I have signed affidavits from them.
From whom?
From my parents about the property.
Are your parents in any way disabled, or are either one of them in the military?
No, my father was in the military, no longer.
Well, that's the only reason you don't come in person to court if you're disabled, and I might accept an affidavit, or if you're unable to come to court by virtue of the fact that you're in the military. None of those things apply here, so I'm not taking any information that you have in an affidavit. Suffice it to say that they did, over a 2-day period, return a lot of property to your parents' house.
Yes.
And that, based upon my rough guesstimates, because you can't help me out anymore with that, that you swore in your complaint, Mr. Martin, that you spent in lieu of rent $10,000
Yes.
in the home.
Yes.
And that was specifically because you weren't paying any of the household expenses. Yes. And all of the things that you added up to me, I don't know what 47 video games are, but I assumed that the 15-year-old played them more than you did.
Brian nods.
She says they were gifted to him. I don't know whether they were or they weren't. Certainly, if you want them back. Do you still have any of the video games?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you want the video games, sir, or do you want to leave them where they are?
I would like them.
You would like them?
Yes.
Okay. Miss Hancock, I'm going to make this as easy as possible. I would like you, not the boyfriend, I would like you to pack up those video games. And do you live in the same town, area, whatever?
Close enough.
Is there a police precinct where you can drop them off?
Yes.
Do you know what precinct number that is?
I don't know the number, but I'm happy to drop them off at Bountiful City Police Department.
Got it?
Yep.
Within 5 days from today, package up the videos that you have.
No problem.
You know, if any of them are damaged, I don't want to hear from you. We're talking about a year ago, a 15-year-old has played with them, whatever. She's going to give you back your video, your 47 video games. Okay?
Okay.
Take a breath. You have to say it's over. Tell me about your new girlfriend. Are you living together?
We are, yeah. She's great. I love her.
She's great?
She's amazing.
And you're fine?
Yeah.
And you're working? You have to put a period to this.
Yes.
A real period.
I know.
Okay? Ms. Hancock, you and are you currently together, or is this an ex-boyfriend?
Ex-boyfriend.
Ex-boyfriend. Well, you seem to have problems with boyfriends. Yeah, I got to start picking them better.
I do.
This one put a tracker on you. This one, you have a protective order permanently. You have to figure these things out before ultimately you get very hurt.
Absolutely.
Okay. I read not only your answer, and I've resolved Mr. Martin's claim. He is going to get all of his videos back. You know that Ms. Hancock and Mr. Jones have a cross-claim for harassment.
I do.
And that was not made part of the criminal case, any restitution.
No.
It was not. Did the district attorney request any restitution?
No.
Why not?
I was actually not involved. It was a criminal case, not a civil.
Well, you were the complainant in the criminal case.
The state of Utah is the one who filed it.
But you were the complainant. They may have filed it.
It actually says right here, state of Utah is the plaintiff.
Of course.
So,
I know that
I did contact the police and ask them to do
So
that.
you
Yes.
were the complainant.
Okay, yes.
You know, it's the state of New York versus John Jones. It's the state of Utah versus John Jones, but there has to be a complainant.
Yes.
Somebody who was robbed, somebody who was the victim of stalking, somebody who was the victim of an assault. That's the complainant. That's who you were.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
Did you ever ask the district attorney for compensation for lost wages or anything else that you suffered as a result of this stalking?
No, I was not aware I could actually do that.
Okay, well, that's not something that I consider, but there is part of your counterclaim that is particularly troubling to me. And it is your claim on the counterclaim that Mr. Martin, at some point, photoshopped pornographic pictures of you.
Yes.
And disseminated them.
Yes.
When did that happen?
It was left on Derek's car
And I'm not sure when, because Derek found it and didn't tell me about it for a while because he was upset and he didn't want to upset me about it.
When did you find it, Mr. Jones?
That would have been after this first bogus stalking injunction he filed and lost.
Bogus?
He filed a fraudulent stalking injunction. He filed
Stalking?
against me.
So it was after that?
Mm-hmm.
And that was May of 2020?
One.
I'm trying to tell Mr. Martin, and I don't know how to make it any more clear to him, that his path going forward has to be putting a period, that in this whole scenario, you were the culprit.
I did not do what they're claiming right there. Absolutely, 100%. I did not.
You did not?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Let us assume, Mr. Jones, that you found on your car a pornographic picture that had been photoshopped with Miss Hancock's face and someone else's body. I'm assuming for a moment that that's true. Not that I have to look at it. I assume for the moment that's true. What proof do you have that Mr. Martin put that on your car?
Well, the problem is I don't have any proof of that, but he had put other signs up. I have a police report. He was hanging signs on my property. He got arrested for doing that and tased.
Okay.
I mean...
But I'm asking you specifically, that's what I'm particularly concerned about.
We couldn't prove it was him. We couldn't prove it was him.
Okay, fine. Do you have a new boyfriend?
No, I do not.
In what month was the protective order made final?
May of 2022.
Other than this experience, what happened?
Oh, there's a fly.
There's a fly. Oh, Mr. Jones, I'm expert at flies. That's not coming.
Caption, coming up.
You have an attitude, and you're not a baby. I mean, it's not as if you're 21 years old anymore. And if you have that within you, to have bad behavior against another person, that's there. Either you have it or you don't.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Brian, Jennifer, and Derek.
Brian Martin has accused his ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Hancock, and her ex-boyfriend, Derek Jones, of keeping his personal property. Jennifer and Derek are countersuing, claiming Brian was harassing them.
Okay. Other than today's appearance, since that was issued in May of 2022, have you had any other contact with Mr. Martin?
No.
Have you?
Yes.
Tell me when.
5/7/2021, we called the police.
No. Pay careful attention to my question, Mr. Jones. Between May of 2022 and today, have you had any contact with Mr. Martin?
Just his files, his claims. He keeps filing protective orders against me.
When was the last time he filed a protective order against you?
Well, he tried filing one a week before this, and I have that
A week
as well.
before what?
Before this case.
Okay.
And I have
What
that police report. They told him no.
Okay. So they didn't allow him to file it?
That one. But he's filed several others.
I'm talking about between May...
Nope, that's the last one.
That was the last one. I'd like to see it, please, Kevin.
Derek hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Mr. Jones, do you have a protective order in your favor?
I've tried.
Not tried.
No, I don't.
You do not? Okay.
Your Honor, I have a video of catching him stalking my house, hanging signs. We submitted that. We also have the police report that he was arrested that day and tased.
And tased?
Yep. I have that report right here as well.
I'd like to see it.
Derek hands another document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Mr. Jones, I'm going to go back to just May of 2020. Since May of 2020, have you had any contact with him? The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
When?
He's submitted letters to my family. He has emailed me.
I'd like to see the letters he submitted to your family.
Derek hands a letter to Kevin.
These are some. He said, oh, there's more. These were cease and desist
Just
letters.
1 second. Just 1 second.
Judy opens and reviews a letter.
What's this?
Mr. Jones texted me a text that says tweaker, and that's who I...
Just, dear Miss Jones, who did you send this to?
I'm not aware of the letter. May I see it?
He took it to my rental.
Kevin shows the letter to Brian, who reviews it.
What are you giving me?
These are letters he submitted to my houses or my rentals when he was trying to find me to
Just a
serve.
second.
This was in relation. Mr. Jones had a temporary stalking injunction in place against him on February 7th, 2021. On May 5th, 2021, he was served that stalking injunction, and that is when the incident with the Bountiful Police took place that you're reading right now. He showed up to where I was getting my oil change. In addition to that, he has sent Facebook messages to my girlfriend that she's here to testify on.
I'm going to tell you that you see how calm you are? Not him. You understand that? Not him. Probably not him, but definitely not him. And I'm going to just suggest to both of you that neither one of you want any other legal action. You already have a lifetime protective order issued against you in favor of Ms. Hancock. Yes. So I'm just telling you, I'd stay as far away from him, Mr. Martin, as I possibly could. Go a mile out of your way rather than go anywhere near where he is.
That's
fine.
That's what I'm doing
now.
Now,
Mr. Jones, you have, and I've been around here for a long time, these kinds of buildings for a long time, you have an attitude. I can tell you have an attitude. And things may have been bad historically, but you know your behavior wasn't perfect historically. You would agree with that with Ms. Hancock, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
You would agree with that. Okay. And you're not a baby. I mean, it's not as if you're 21 years old anymore. And if you have that within you to have bad behavior against another person, that's there. Either you have it or you don't. And what I'm suggesting to you is that this is not going to be a good outcome if this animus continues. She's not your girlfriend anymore. He's got a new girlfriend. You don't have anything to do with him anymore. Nothing. If you have to travel a mile out of your way to avoid going anywhere where he gets lunch, coffee, a Jiffy Lube, or anything else, I would suggest that you do it.
I've done that. He keeps filing protective orders.
Good. Well, he can do that. So can you. And what I'm suggesting is that it's not... Don't add fuel to this fire, madam. It's my job to try to temper it. If what you're going to do is to add fuel to this fire,
I won't.
Then I think that it's really not a smart idea.
Just gonna, yeah.
The plaintiff will get his 47 videos back within 5 days. They will be dropped off at the local police precinct. What?
May I actually say there's only 21 that was ever given, so there's not 47.
How many do you have?
We have 19 of those games.
Okay, 19.
Yes.
You have any other property that belongs to him?
No.
No. Okay, we're done here. 19. 5 days. Police precinct.
This court is adjourned.
I'm disappointed because I've dealt with this man for over 2 years.
He's just jealous of my awesomeness.
I've moved on with my life. I have a new girlfriend, and I just want my things back.
Whatever. I just want him out of my life.
It's time to close the chapter. It's time to move on.
I never want to see him again. I never want to hear from him again.
People spend so much time with negative energy.
Oh, yes.
Sarah, if the one thing that you and all other single people out there can take away from this case is that women are supposed to be smart. And clearly, she had a nose for bad boys.
Yeah.
Because according to what we heard, the reason she invited him to come and live with her is because the
different problem with a different boyfriend.
Right, co-defendant, Mr. Jones, was really stalking her. Mm-hmm. And the same problem she had with the plaintiff. But stalking is an odd one. You have to be a little bit off to engage in stalking, to really terrorize somebody.
Especially to the level of legal action for stalking.
Yeah.
Because I know the standard for getting a restraining order, even if
for unpaid expenses from their mother's funeral.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches.
Good morning, Judge. Case number 2011, Rubin versus Rubin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Rubin, this is your brother.
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
And this case involves sharing expenses for your mother's funeral.
Correct.
And it is your claim that your brother, who I believe was living with your mother at the time she died,
right,
agreed to pay half of the funeral expenses when he received proceeds from a small life insurance policy that your mother had left.
Yes, Judge. Our mother only left us a $5,000 life insurance policy.
That's what the case is about.
Right.
Your brother's position is it's not his responsibility. He made no such promise. Of course, you do understand that without that promise to pay for your mother's funeral expenses, children aren't normally responsible for the expenses of their parent. You understand that?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Rubin, when did your mother pass away?
She passed away August 20th of 2021.
How old was she?
She was 86.
And how long had you been living with your mother?
Your Honor, I took care of my mother since 1991.
Well, if you were taking care of her for almost 30 years, sir, what kind of physical malady did she have when she was in her 50s?
She suffered from chronic kidney failure.
When did that medical condition develop?
Pretty close to 91.
What is pretty close to 91?
Beginning in the 90s, 91, 92, etc.
So when you moved in with her, was your mother sick or was she not sick?
She was sick.
Did you live with your mother because it was not only good for your mother, but because it was good for you? That's what I'm trying to get
Yes.
to. The answer is yes.
Yes,
and you moved into your mother's house
Correct.
that she owned or rented?
She was purchasing it through a mortgage.
She owned her home.
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
Was she working in the 90s?
She was.
Therefore, she wasn't incapacitated to the extent that you needed full-time care.
At the beginning, no, ma'am.
When you moved in with her, she was employed on a full-time basis,
Correct.
sufficient enough to get a mortgage from a bank based upon her income.
Correct.
And what were you doing in 1991?
I worked.
For whom?
Associates.
For how long?
Off and on from 91 till about 2 years ago.
What does off and on mean?
I had several jobs in between. I sold cars for various car dealerships, and I also owned several businesses.
When you lived with your mother, who paid the mortgage?
My mother did.
Did you pay your mother for any expenses? Rent, gas, electric, phone, anything? Or did you live there and you had an agreement? You lived there, she wanted your company, whatever it was. She lived alone?
At the time, yes.
In 1991, she was just living alone?
Correct.
And I assume, therefore, happy to have your company?
Correct.
I assume. Okay. So you made no payments to your mother?
With the occasional help with some utilities or food, yes.
Okay. So you were able, I assume, to save a substantial amount of money?
Correct.
Just for my own information, so that I can sort of put this thing together.
Sure.
You have stocks, bonds, savings?
No, ma'am.
What do you have? You were able to save a lot of money. How did you invest it?
I invested in several businesses, which one is my liquidation company.
What happened with your mother's house?
When she passed, I was still residing at the house. I paid the mortgage by myself for the months of September 2021 as well as October 2021. And I remained there until, I want to say, February 2022. My sister is the executor of the estate, and she sold it just recently for $465,000.
Okay, so what I'm gathering from you, you paid the mortgage, you say in September and October, then you stopped paying the mortgage November, December, January, and February.
That is correct, ma'am.
But you lived in the house?
I did.
Rent-free, because you paid nothing?
Correct.
Where are you living now?
I live in Nogales, Mexico.
And you live in a house, you live in
In an apartment, ma'am.
You pay rent?
I do.
Anybody live with you?
No, ma'am.
What's your rent?
$250.
Okay. And what was the mortgage payment in your mother's house?
I paid $1,750 even.
Are you the sister?
Yes, Your Honor.
Could you stand up for a second? I'm just getting some information. Tell me your name.
Shannon Hayes.
Miss Hayes, house was sold recently for $465,000. And what was left on the mortgage?
$258,000 plus a $35,000 third mortgage.
Your Honor, since her brother was not paying, since he wasn't paying, the house actually went into foreclosure. And so we had to get...
Just to say, I didn't ask you anything.
Okay, I'll just...
Sarah Rose, $465,000 less $258,000.
$207,000, Your Honor.
Less $35,000.
$172,000.
Okay, and there are 3 siblings?
And also, Your Honor, there was a $10,000 lien on the property that had to be paid.
So we're down to $162,000.
Correct.
So it's $162,000 clear, so a little over $50,000 a person.
She owed the IRS, Your Honor, for back payments in excess of $54,000. She hadn't paid taxes in years.
Did you pay the IRS?
I just did.
And how much did you pay the IRS?
$54,188.
Sarah, from $162,000, take out $54,000.
$108,000.
Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor. She had Arizona state taxes, $3,000 I paid as well.
105, is that 105 net?
So we also have the medical bills that I had to take care of.
She had no insurance and she had to have Medicare.
She did, Your Honor. That's her copayment.
Okay, and what was her copayment?
$3,000 in medical.
Let's do a simple $100,000. How much were the funeral expenses?
$2,434.73.
Was the total funeral expense?
Yes.
Well, that's what you're claiming he owes you.
That's his share of the...
I want to know what the entire funeral costs, sir. You'll show me the invoice.
Sure. I do have all the invoices for you.
Sean hands documents to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews them.
The first one, Your Honor, is just for the cremation.
1058.
Correct.
Okay. 1058.
The next one should be from the cemetery.
This is the total funeral home charges, and this is cremated remains internment of $2,200?
Correct. The next invoice you should have, Your Honor, is from services provided by a rabbi.
Okay, that was $600.
Your Honor, it was actually $700. I paid the rabbi $100 as an honorarium.
No, that's $600. Whatever you want to pay him as an honorarium, that's fine. So the total expenses are $3,858.
You should have another invoice for a proposal for a headstone as well.
1717.
Yes, Your Honor.
$3,858 plus $1,717.
$5,575.
That's it. Okay. I assume your mother died without a will.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. And you are the only surviving siblings?
Yes, Your Honor.
The estate will be divided into 3 parts.
Correct.
So each one of you will get about $33,000 from the estate after all of the expenses have been paid.
There's also the real estate commission fees that we didn't mention to subtract from the net income.
And what were the real estate commission fees?
$30,000.
Oh, yeah, that's a substantial amount.
Yes, Your Honor.
So 108 less 30, $78,000. So now you're down to $25,000 each.
That's correct, Your Honor.
What I'm trying to figure out is, even giving you all those expenses that you paid, your mother's estate, absent this $5,000 life insurance policy that there was, correct? And you got a share of that life insurance policy. How much? Yes, the answer is yes. How much did you receive?
$2,500 even.
Okay, $2,500.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you get a share of that life insurance policy?
No, Your Honor.
Did you?
Yes, Your Honor. I also received $2,500.
Great. And the estate had net, after everything, at least $75,000 divided by 3, which is $25,000 apiece after you pay all expenses, which in this case would have been funeral expenses. Do you understand where I'm coming from, sir?
I do.
I have children and grandchildren. 10 years is a long time. That's a grandchild. She didn't see me at least once a month. She better keep her fingers crossed that I don't change my will.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Sean and Randall.
Sean Rubin is suing his brother, Randall Rubin, for unpaid funeral expenses. Randall is countersuing, claiming Sean defamed him.
So now, if what you're asking me, Mr. Rubin, is to find that you had an agreement with your brother to pay 1/3 of the funeral expenses because the two of you each paid 1/3 of the funeral expenses. Is that what you did?
Well, Your Honor,
that's either a yes or a no.
It is a no. I'm the only one that had the money to process our mother. He would not even sign to get her processed to continue the cremation. I have evidence here I'd like to submit to you where he agreed to pay me half of it out of his life insurance.
Okay, that's all.
I have text from him.
Just a second. I'm going to take a look at it. You have to understand, Mr. Rubin,
yes,
that at this point, if I find that he agreed to pay for half, then you understand that you agreed to pay for half of her funeral. Ordinarily, the funeral expenses, you may front the money for those funeral expenses, but if the deceased had sufficient money in their estate to cover their last expenses, and those would be medical expenses, which you paid out of the estate, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
taxes, which you paid out of the estate.
Yes, Your Honor.
You paid out of the estate after you sold the house, broker's fees, state tax fees. Along with those kinds of fees would be funeral expenses. Now, if the two of you agreed, or the two brothers agreed, which is what you're saying, that he agreed to pay half, not a third, but he agreed to pay half of the funeral expenses for which you are not being reimbursed by the estate. Do you understand?
Correct. I have not received anything from the estate, Your Honor.
Okay.
Kevin hands Sean's document to Judy.
Well, this would be you. I'll let you know tomorrow. I think it's $2,200 for Menorah Gardens, and cremation was $1,053, so it's $1,626 each. That would be you, right?
Yes.
Okay, 1,626, because you asked him how much you owed, right?
I did.
So I assume since you asked him how much you owed, you had some sort of an arrangement with him to pay a third, because it does say a third, of the funeral expenses.
That is correct.
Okay, great.
I do want to interject, Your Honor, and let you know that when I did receive my monies, the $2,500 from her life insurance, we had communicated with one another that I had some emergency dental work that needed to be done. It was life-threatening. And therefore, he said, I don't have the email because I had to block him. I have a restraining order against him. So I lost all my emails between us.
Listen,
However,
nobody ever has their emails here
I have
or a video.
A very substantial amount of those monies went for my dental.
I don't care. How old are you?
59, ma'am.
You have lived rent-free for 30 years. And according to you, you had businesses. You worked most of that time, either selling cars or on and off for a company for 30 years. You made an agreement with your brother to pay 1/3 of your mother's funeral expenses. And as far as I'm concerned, if you had dental problems, pay for it from the resources of one of your businesses, because you had no expenses. You have very little sympathy for you. You lived in the house for months without paying the mortgage. That's outrageous. That's taking money away from them. Do you understand that?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
say you lived in the house for 3 months rent-free, at least 3 months rent-free. So if you paid mortgage payments for 2 months, I would say to you, sounds pretty reasonable to me. You know, there's a story that's created.
Correct.
And what's created here is there's unequivocal information in these text messages that you and your brother and sister, because you, sir, are claiming that he owes half. He doesn't owe half. That was never the agreement, according to what you gave me. According to what you gave me, and in your own hand, you say this is what you owe me, $1,600, not $2,600.
Well, Your Honor, if I can explain, the reason why I said half is only me and my brother were included in life insurance policy. My sister was not named on it, and it was only for $5,000. So,
sir, listen carefully to me.
I mean, if we put our money together, we could have paid for it.
Listen carefully to me. That has nothing to do with you.
Exactly. The same with his dental
proceeds
has
of
nothing
your
to do with
mother's
me.
final resting should have come out of the estate. That way it would have been borne equally between the 3 people who will profit from the estate. You understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
Very good. So if you understand that, the math is simple. If he pays a third, you get your sister to kick in whatever she's getting back from the $25,000, and everybody is equal.
Well, Your Honor, I mean, you're already getting the vibe that this guy is the biggest bum who lived off his mother, sponged off of his mother.
Let me explain something to you. That is unnecessary here. Unnecessary, and really quite stupid. Stupid. You handed me evidence, sir, that you made an agreement with him. He asked you what he owed. You told him.
Yes.
$1,600. That's what you told him, that he owes you, $1,600.
That's correct.
And each of you are getting a certain amount of money for nothing from your mother. I'm going to ask you some questions. Prior to her death, when was the last time you saw her? When was the last time you saw your mother? Month and year?
I honestly do not recall, Your Honor.
Okay, just a second. Was it in the decade that she died?
Yes.
Okay, well, she died in 2021. So when did you see her?
Probably several years before that, Your Honor.
Well, so you didn't see her in the decade before?
Your Honor, you have to understand, her house was infested with bed bugs.
Pay careful attention to me. I asked you some questions.
Yes.
My question was, when was the last time you saw your mother? So you hadn't seen your mother in a decade. When was the last time you saw your mother?
I saw my mother frequently, Your Honor. It was May, Mother's Day.
Okay, Mother's Day of
2021.
And Your Honor, I did.
I'm not speaking to you. March of 2021. Prior to that, when did you see your mother?
November 2021.
Wait a minute. How could you see her in November 2021 if she passed in August of 2021?
November 2020.
Okay, May 2021, November of 2020. Prior to that, when did you see your mother?
I saw her frequently because
No, not frequently. Month and year.
I don't have the...
Did you see her every month?
No, Your Honor.
Did you see her every 2 months?
About that, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, between May and November, that's more than 2 months. That's what you can remember.
Yes, Your Honor.
So it would be fair to say that whether he took great care of her and whether the house was clean or dirty or anything else, your 86-year-old mother lived with your brother, whether you like him or not, and you were totally disinterested in her. You're the one who started this, or I was about ready to finish this case, but when you say he's a bum, I say, you know what? This guy's got to be put in his place. He may have been, but he was the bum who took care of your mother. You started it.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Sean and Randall.
Sean Rubin is accusing his brother, Randall Rubin, of not paying his share of funeral expenses. Randall claims Sean spread multiple lies about him.
So it would be fair to say that whether he took great care of her and whether the house was clean or dirty or anything else, your 86-year-old mother lived with your brother, whether you like him or not, and you were totally disinterested in her.
Well, that's not true, Your Honor.
Well, I want to know if you didn't see your mother in a decade, and she had failing health, I would say, as a child, you were totally disinterested in her.
I did visit my mother after she had kidney replacement or kidney surgery. I visited her after her surgery. We both did.
Just a second. Do you understand where I'm coming from, sir?
I do.
I have children and grandchildren, right?
Sure.
10 years is a long time. That's a grandchild. If she didn't see me at least once a month, she better keep her fingers crossed that I don't change my will.
Well, Your Honor, I'm sure that Sarah is very close to you, where we live out of state.
Just a second.
We both have actual real jobs.
Just a second. If her father didn't visit me at least once a month, and we live in different states, he too would check the will. So what I'm telling you is, if you don't see your mother for 10 years, you are a disinterested child. You're the one who started this, or I was about ready to finish this case, but when you say he's a bum, I say, you know what? This guy's got to be put in his place. He may have been, but he was the bum who took care of your mother.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, really? Did your mother have full-time nursing care for the last 10 years? The answer is either yes or no.
It's an absolute no.
She declined.
That's not what I asked you. Not what she declined. Did she have full-time nursing care? That's a yes or a no?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so if she didn't have full-time nursing care and she was in poor health because, based upon your blurted-out answer to me, you thought she should have full-time care.
Yes, Your Honor.
Right, but she didn't. So he took care of her. You don't like the way he took care of her. That's your prerogative, but you let him take care of her. And you went about your business in your own states where you live, and he took care of her. And you didn't like him, and he may have been a sponge and a bum. You started it. But you were not interested enough in your mother to move next door to her or to have her move next door to you when she got sick.
Your Honor.
Somebody else
I actually did ask her to move in with me, and she declined.
Right. She didn't want to live with you. There had to be a reason for that if she was being abused.
Your Honor, there is.
Do I look like I need help from you?
No, of course not.
Then I want you to be quiet.
Yes, ma'am.
You owe him $1,600. That's it, not $26, what he's asking you. Put it down.
I have a counterclaim.
$1,600, and I'll hear your counterclaim.
Thank you.
Which sounds a little ridiculous to me. I'm finished with you. $1,600, that's what you owe, except for the counterclaim, which I'll hear. Well, the counterclaim is that they posted something on the internet that says that there were bugs in the shoes you were selling. If that's, just a second, quiet. Your counterclaim says that he defamed you and your business because he wrote on the internet that there were bugs in the shoes you were selling. I couldn't make that up. Let me see. Maybe I did make it up.
You're correct. That's
yeah,
exactly
he posted that there were bugs in the shoes I was selling.
He also put that I impregnate Hispanic women
just a second. First of all, that's not in here.
It's right here, ma'am.
It's not in my answer. So I want to see where he wrote, and who knows what you're doing in Mexico. I have no idea what you're doing in Mexico. Show me what he wrote about the bugs in the shoes that you're selling, giving me a whole lot of nonsense there that I'm not going to read.
It's not.
These
are the posts that he put online.
These
are also letters from my mother in her own.
I'm not reading the letters from your mother.
Okay.
I'm reading a post or more where he says there are bugs in the shoes you are selling.
Yes.
Period.
Do you want to hear the audio that he sent to one of my employers?
No. I want to see where he wrote there are bugs in the shoes you are selling, which is what's in my answer.
Right here, ma'am.
May I have it, please?
And I do have a restraining order on him as well.
I'm not interested in your restraining order.
Judy reviews the document.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with anything. I'm going to give this back to you, and if you don't hand me exactly what I asked for, I'm dismissing. I'm not reading all that drivel. I asked you for one post.
Your Honor, if you'd like to say
I don't
something,
want to hear you.
This is what I wrote.
I
if you want to see
don't
it.
want. This is not your case to prove, sir.
Okay, I'm just trying to be honest.
Here you go, Your Honor. This is one that he
Thank you.
wrote
Don't
to
tell
my
me
employer.
one. Just give me the posts about shoes. This has nothing to do with shoes.
This one is in Spanish.
If you show me one more thing that doesn't say bugs and shoes, I'm just dismissing your case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. Please look at this one. It is in Spanish.
No, that's your problem. The counterclaim's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. We're finished here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
I'm very pleased with the judge's decision. I think she made the right decision.
I wasn't really thrilled.
I'm just kind of glad it's over. I never want to see my brother again.
We're a very estranged bunch of people. We do not like each other.
She didn't raise him right. She raised us right, and we're going to do the right thing on behalf of our mom.
Sarah and Judy.
First and foremost, I will visit you every month, every week, every day, if that's what it takes. But in all seriousness, this case shows how foolish it is not to memorialize your wishes for the end, because it creates a heightened sense of stress.
puppy.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy enters.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Case 2044, Bearden versus Thompson.
Mr. Bearden.
Yes, Your Honor.
It is your claim that the defendant owes you the balance of a dog that you sold to him.
Correct, Your Honor.
That's what the case is about. Defendant says he doesn't really think he got what he bargained for, and while he has no intention of returning the dog to you, he doesn't want to pay the balance.
Yes.
Be a yes. So I have a couple of questions, because it's not a terribly difficult case. You say in your complaint that you are a breeder of full-blood tricolor bullies.
Correct. Bully breed, American bullies, and these are tricolor American bullies, which have 5 different distinctions within the American bully breed realm.
I don't want you to try to confuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
Any more than I'm confused about this.
Yes, ma'am.
Is an American bully a pit bull?
No, I have proof.
Shh. It is not.
It is not.
What is it a combination of?
Yes, it is a combination of.
Well, I know it's a combination of, but it's been recognized by the American Kennel Club as an independent breed of dog. But that is only recently. What is the American bully a combination of?
Honestly, can I read what I have?
No, if you say I don't, listen to me.
Yeah,
I know it's very, very hard for men to say 3 words. I don't know. Somehow they can say, I love you, I hate you, get out of my parking space, you're snoring. They can say a whole bunch of things, but they have trouble saying those 3 words.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know.
I fully own that. Yes, ma'am.
I
don't know.
Don't know. Well, Sarah, look it up.
Will do.
American bully.
Says that originally standardized and recognized as a breed in 2004 by the American Bully Kennel Club.
2004? Mm-hmm. So if it's recognized a breed in 2004, it's got to be a mix of something.
So the American Bully was started by crossing the American Pit Bull Terrier with other dogs in the Bully breed family, and sometimes dogs outside of the Bully breed family. But it's become its own breed.
It's become its own breed, but started with the American Pit Bull. That's what that says. Do you want her to read it again?
So there's also bully dogs are descendants from the crosses between ancient bulldogs and a variety of British terriers. And this says an American bully was started by the crossing of the American Pit Bull Terrier with dogs in the other bully breed family.
And ultimately, it was recognized as a breed unto itself, although I don't understand how that could happen if you're a cross between one breed, the American Pit Bull, and a variety of other dogs. You know, that's like a golden doodle. That's like a golden retriever and a poodle. Isn't that what a golden doodle is?
I believe so.
But it's not a breed unto itself. It's a cross between a couple of dogs, so it takes many years. And this sounds to me, at least, Mr. Bearden, as the bullies that you're describing that you breed, the genesis of that breed is an American Pit Bull with a variety of other things. Could be a boxer.
It could also, like the father, it could be a Rottweiler. Like the father of the puppies that he got, he has all the markings of a Rottweiler, but he has the head shape and body style that represents more of the Pit Bull style.
So that's information that I am now at least a little armed with. So now I'm going to come back to you. You're the breeder. And you said the puppies, that the litter that you sold Tim, one of the puppies, has Rottweiler in it.
No, I'm not saying that it has Rottweiler. I'm saying that the physical representation of it, the markings, the brown over the eyes, the brown hair, that's what the dad looks like. The puppies don't look like that.
Just a second. So you bred the dogs. What breed is the father?
The father is American Bully. He's considered an XL American Bully.
The father is an American Bully. In the father's history, it appears, based upon the look of the dog, is this what I'm understanding?
Yes.
It's a Rottweiler. In the history of the dog.
Yeah, it could possibly, yes. That's why he looks like that now,
It
yes.
could possibly be a gerbil, but a gerbil doesn't have distinctive markings. What you're telling me is the dog has the distinctive markings of a Rottweiler, but the body of a Pit Bull.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, what a combo.
He's beautiful. He's a beautiful dog.
They're beautiful dogs. Both of those dogs, by the way, will not be covered by most insurance policies. Pit Bulls and Rottweilers. You do know that?
Yes.
Say yes loud.
Yes,
so
yes, I know that,
you.
yes.
Okay. Did you know that?
I did not.
Well, it's interesting. Do you own your own home?
Yeah.
Yes is an answer.
Yes.
Do you have homeowners insurance?
Yes.
In your application for homeowners insurance, they would ask you what kind of dog you have, if you have any. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Did you write down what kind of a dog you had?
I didn't have a dog at the time.
I want you to read over your homeowner's policy, wherever you live. Who are you covered by?
Not exactly sure.
What do you mean not certain? You don't know who your homeowner's policy is with?
It's all in the bill.
What
It's all paid for, one yearly fee.
You mean for your car, for your home,
Yes.
everything else? I would check, sir. If you own your own home, did you have a lot invested in your home?
Yes.
I would take a look, because many insurance companies now will not insure or charge an extra premium, if they would insure, homes that have, as part of their household, certain breeds of dogs. I am telling you, and he knows it, that pit bulls and Rottweilers are in that group.
Yep.
So if something happens and your dog bites somebody and they will sue you, and you'll say, well, I have homeowners insurance, your policy might just disclaim.
That's why I didn't want a pit bull.
What do you think you got?
A pit bull.
You got an American bully, and it's not so hard to look up. You do have a tablet or something?
A bully, when you look it up, it actually is American Bulldog and a Stanford Terrier. It's
Well,
not,
an American Bulldog and a Staffordshire Terrier. You know what Staffordshire Terrier is.
yeah.
What is it?
I mean, it's a pit bull.
Right, that's what it is. Everybody tries to use different language because they want to get away from that. It's a bully, it's a terrier, it's a something else. But bottom line, that's what it is. And you know that's what it is, whether it's a half or a quarter. You know it's listed among those breeds that the insurance company is not going to cover you for. And you have knowledge of that. You got to be careful. So it was your understanding that you were purchasing from the plaintiff a what?
A full 100% bully.
There's no 100% bully. There is no 100% bully. You just told me a bully is a mix between a...
After so long, it's considered a full bully. That's from my understanding.
That's not what that says. It says among other things. You really have to be more vigilant. Don't tell me what your friends told you. Don't tell me what they did. Don't tell me what they said. He told you that he was selling you an American bully.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Kenneth and Zach.
Dog breeder Kenneth Bearden claims his customer, Zach Thompson, owes for the balance of a puppy. Zach says he did not receive the full-blooded American bully he purchased.
Okay, tell me when and under what circumstances Mr. Thompson purchased this puppy from you.
Yes, Your Honor. On April 28th, the defendant reached out to me. He was stating his name. Sorry. He was stated his name and that his daughter was playing with a puppy of a friend of his, and that friend of his had bought one of the puppies from my litter. She fell in love with the dog. She loved it. He wanted to come by and possibly get another puppy.
How old's your daughter?
7.
If I could do that thing that some people do and, you know, cross their eyes on purpose, I would do that for you. Now, is this your only child?
Yes.
Okay.
After he reached out to me, we exchanged numbers and spoke for a few days over Facebook Messenger. I gave him my number. We had a conversation on the phone about prices, about the breed, and payments, because he reached out to me originally stating that, hey, I don't have that full amount that you would be asking for.
Just a second. Could I see text messages where you've discussed the price?
Yes, ma'am.
And where you agreed on a price?
No, that was, so we agreed on a price verbally. The text messages is where I sent him my number. Right after I sent him my number, that's when we had the conversation about prices and payments.
Let me see what you...
Yes, ma'am. Do you want text messages and the Facebook messages?
Yeah.
Okay. It's
read any.
quite a bit. It's all in order from front to back. From
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Just about the price of the dog, please.
Well, like I said, Your Honor, the price of the dog was a verbal conversation.
I understand that. The initial discussion that you had with him, you told him what you wanted for the dog.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Kenneth hands documents to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews them.
Mrs. Thompson, and you wrote, I told him I would even take the runt if you're willing to help me get a puppy for my daughter, right? Okay. How old was the puppy when the puppy was delivered to Mr. Thompson?
They were right at 2 months and 2 weeks, I believe.
So about 10 weeks old.
Yeah, they were born February 20th, This was May 1st when they were.
Do you have a contract with him other than over the phone?
When he came there that morning?
It's just that's either a yes or a no.
No.
You do not have a written contract.
The only contract that we have is of him giving me his ID, letting me take a picture of it because I didn't have any printer ink at the time.
You don't have a contract with him.
No.
Are you a married guy?
No, Your Honor.
Yeah. You know, how did I know that? Because you talk a lot. Most married guys don't talk so much. They answer 2 or 3 words, and that's it. Do you live alone?
Yes, it's just me and my son.
How old is your son?
He's 12.
And how many of these dogs do you have roaming around?
I have 2.
Okay. Mr. Thompson, the plaintiff delivered the dog to you. You had no written contract with him. You just agreed to take the dog at a certain price, correct?
Correct.
He agreed to sell you the dog, and you discussed he got this much with papers, this much without, but he was willing to work with you without papers, correct?
Yes, correct.
So you were getting a dog without AKC papers for how much?
$500.
$500.
$100 down.
Just a sec. What?
$100 down and then $100 every 2 weeks until it was paid off.
So you gave him the $100?
Yes.
And then you never paid him any more?
Well, before the next payment was even there, I questioned him about being a full bully, because everybody kept telling me it wasn't a full bully because I have multiple friends that...
Don't tell me what your friends told you. Don't tell me what they did. Don't tell me what they said. He told you that he was selling you an American bully.
Yep.
Without papers.
Yes.
So that you weren't going to use this dog for any breeding purposes.
Yes, didn't plan to.
Because you don't have papers, and that would be sort of foolish for you.
Yeah.
Did your daughter fall in love with the dog? Got the dog that she wanted, right?
Yeah,
a little female called
Zoe.
Zoe.
Yeah, she picked her out.
Your Honor,
And she just...
I disagree with that also.
What?
When he originally arrived that morning, he was trying to get a different dog. He wanted a certain one.
Just a second. Your daughter picked this dog out.
Yeah.
Correct.
You disagree with that?
The daughter and him both wanted a different dog at first.
We had our mind set on a certain puppy before we got there. When we showed up, the puppy that we wanted was getting taken by another people that she...
So your daughter picked another puppy?
Yes, yes.
Correct.
Let's not make this harder than it is. She picked the one that she was happy with.
Yeah.
And she's still happy with it.
Yep.
And she likes it.
Yes.
You wouldn't take it away from her.
No, I would not.
You wouldn't give it back to him.
No, I would not.
Then you have to pay for it.
Well, I would have.
What is so hard about that?
Well, he lied about the shots. He never sent me proof of the first
Just a
shots.
second. You have a contract. That's if you're going to pay. He says $750. You say $500. Whether it's $750 or $500, what you're supposed to have if you're a breeder is a written contract. If that's what you do, you have a written contract. I always have a contract when I buy puppies. The breeders, reputable breeders, demand it. They say that they guarantee the health of the puppy for a certain period of time. You can take the dog to have it checked by a vet within a certain period of time. It says whether the puppy had its first shots or second shots or had no shots. It says all that. That's it. Other than that, I don't remember what these contracts said, but I bought many, and they are pretty much standard. Yeah. You bought a dog for either $750 or $500 that you didn't pay for, and now you have a bunch of excuses. Did you take the dog to a vet and have the dog tested as to its heritage?
I have not.
Well, then you can't tell me what your friend said to you. Whether your friend said that looks like, it doesn't look like, I don't know what it looks like. That's not relevant. If he's saying to you, this is an American bully, and you've had the dog professionally tested, the DNA of that dog tested, and it turns out that it's a cacophony of things, which clearly it is because it's a mix of things. What do you have to pay for the dog? You ate the steak. You don't want to give it back. The only question is, how much did you make an arrangement to pay? You say it was $750.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is you have any paperwork to show that?
I do not, Your Honor. Like I said, when he left, I have them contracts. I didn't have any more printer ink. He had to leave and be somewhere else. That's when I asked to go ahead and take a picture of his ID, and I plan to get the contract at a later date.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
was he originally asking for $1,000 for the dog?
He never originally asked me for $1,000.
No, but is that what your friend paid for his dog?
I don't know what my friend paid for the dog, but I know that he was having trouble selling him, so he marked down the price. I have a Facebook post where he actually, on his own Facebook, before I'd even...
Oh, do you have what?
I don't have it printed out. I have it on my phone. I'm willing to give
Oh, yeah, I'd like to see it. Does it list a price on it?
It's don't have a price. It just talks about where he's willing to sell them and work with people on deals and stuff because he couldn't sell them this before I even met the guy.
Okay, well, so do you acknowledge that you posted that, sir? That you were willing to make deals with people because you were having difficulty getting rid of the puppies. You're going to pay him the balance of $400 now because you have the dog. Do you understand? A bully isn't a full-bred dog. A bully has a lot of other things in it. Do you understand?
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Kenneth and Zach.
Dog breeder Kenneth Bearden is accusing his customer, Zach Thompson, of refusing to pay the balance on an American Bully puppy. Zach says he didn't receive the purebred he was promised and tried to return the dog.
And do you acknowledge that you posted that, sir? That you were willing to make deals with people because you were having difficulty getting rid of the puppies?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, I'd like to see you.
Make it a little brighter.
Because you say here that you usually sell them $2,000 with papers and $1,000 without.
Yes.
Okay.
And my
Just a second.
Facebook.
Just a second.
Yes, Your Honor.
5 pups left and needing good homes. These are full-blooded American tricolor bullies. Please help us find them homes. I'm willing to negotiate and rediscuss price payment at any point. Okay, so you're willing to work with anybody?
Exactly.
Okay, so when you had a conversation with him, tell me what price you arrived at.
We arrived at $750, and when we spoke, he told me that he would give me $100 every week. And also in our text messages, it also states where he mentioned if his taxes came, he would pay me in full.
Okay, but you talked about pay $100 every week.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
In my messages, there's a few times where I reference $500, and he never says, well, it's $750, not $500.
Okay, can I see those?
Yeah.
I'd like to see them.
In that message.
Now,
And we also talked.
Just give me the message.
Okay. Here's the one that states 500 right here.
Zach hands the document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
Yeah, I believe that the price you negotiated was $500 because the only one of the litigants that has any messages, that has any number in it, is the defendant, who talks, at least on 2 occasions, of the fact that he doesn't want to pay $500 for a mixed breed dog. And there's nothing in it that says, sir, it wasn't $500, it was $750. You gave me $100, so you still owe me $650. That's what the response should have been, and you didn't do that, sir. So
I would have had no problem paying him $500 if it was a full bully. No problem at all.
you're going to pay him the balance of $400 now because you have the dog.
Okay.
Do you understand? A bully isn't a full-bred dog. A bully has a lot of other things in it. Do you understand?
Well,
and you want to keep the dog.
No, I wanted to bring the dog back. He said I could bring the dog back, and then he wrote back and said, okay, I could bring it back.
I just asked you a question. You want me to have her read it back to me? You just said...
I don't want to bring the dog back now.
Well, now is what we're talking about. Now is where we are.
It's 4 or 5 months now my daughter has fell in love, but the first 10 days, I did ask to bring it back. He said, okay.
Right now, we're not in the first 10 days. Right now, we're here. I asked you a question. Do you want to give him the dog back?
If that's what it takes, yes.
You ready to take the dog back?
I do not want to. Once we sold the animal,
Well, if he says that there is no proof that this litter was a full-blooded American bully, and you have the American Kennel Club records that show that it is, because you must have registered the litter. That's what happens, Mr. Bearden, when you have a full-blooded dog. You register the litter, and then if you're selling it with papers, the new owner will register the dog with the AKC in their name. So all you have to do now is show me the registration for that litter. No, that's either a show me or I don't have it.
I do not have that, Your Honor. Because there was no reason. That's why the puppies were $2,000 with papers and $1,000 without. There's no reason going the extra mile. That's why they have the $2,000 option of me taking that headache off their shoulder.
No. That's a lot of who shot John, sir. If you are a breeder, that's what you identify yourself as. I am a breeder of.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay? And clearly you are a breeder of because he saw puppies from another litter of yours, which drove him and his daughter to contact you.
Yes, Your Honor.
So if you're a breeder, you register that litter so that if you want to sell it, a puppy with papers, you've already registered that litter. Either you can use it or not. Do you understand what I'm saying? You would know exactly what I'm saying,
That's
Mr.
the
Bearden.
normal process of things,
Okay.
yes.
And right now, Mr. Thompson, at this point, I agree that you agreed to pay $500 for the dog and gave him a $100 deposit.
Yes.
Which means you owe him $400.
He said I could bring the dog back at one point because I wanted to bring the dog back because I didn't think it was the dog I wanted.
I'm talking about now.
Yes, I know, but, and then
Then he said no.
And then he said no 2 days later, and then he said he's going to take me to court, or he threatened me and said he's going to have someone come get the money out of me if not. And then that's when I stopped responding. After he threatened me, I stopped responding. And that was before our first initial payment. That was within the first 10 days, and it wasn't even in the 14 days yet when I was going to make my payment.
Did you pay him?
No, I didn't.
$100?
I paid him $100, yes.
Yes, I'm talking about $100.
Yes, I did.
So what do you want me to do today? Either.
I don't think he deserves nothing. He lied about the breed.
No.
He never sent me shots. He lied about those.
Yeah, just a second.
And then he threatened me.
Do you want to return the dog to him, or do you want to pay him the $400?
I'll return the dog to him.
Fine. He's returning the dog to you.
And I've
Understand?
paid all the vet bills.
Just a second.
Vet bills.
I don't care, but I will prepare an order that within 5 days of today, you will deliver the dog back. He delivered the dog to you?
No,
You will.
I went to his house, picked it up.
You went to his house? Great. How far do you live from each other?
30 minutes, probably.
Is there a police precinct in the middle? Because I don't want this done at anybody's house. What police precinct is closest to you, sir?
It'd be Bullitt County Police Department.
That's where you will meet 5 days from today. What's a good time for you?
4 p.m., 5 p.m.
What's a good time for you?
Whenever.
4 o'clock.
Yeah.
4 o'clock.
Yes, Your Honor.
Fine. We'll prepare an order, give it to you. You meet at the precinct and exchange the dog.
Will he pay me from what I gave him?
He'll give you back the $100.
What about all the vet bills?
That you eat.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's the order. That's what he wants.
Sounds good.
Let him go explain it to his daughter. Perfect. Thank you.
Let him win.
This court is adjourned.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly I'm going to do moving forward.
I didn't feel like I got the dog that I wanted.
I never made a threat to him, never did anything like that. I told him that I would take him to court.
There was definitely a better dog out there.
I'm an honest, hardworking man.
Son, Christopher Espinoza, for damages resulting from a car crash.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches.
Case 2054, Cardozo versus Jimenez Espinoza.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Cardozo, it is your claim that the defendants are responsible for an automobile accident.
Yes.
That both totaled your car and injured you and your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did this accident happen? What date?
On May 6th, Friday, 2022.
What time of the day?
It was around 7:10, 7:20 a.m.
Where were you going?
I was going to drop off my son to his babysitter.
Then where were you going?
Work.
Is that your regular route?
Yeah.
Your last name is?
Espinoza,
How old are you?
17.
You were driving that morning?
Yeah.
Yeah is not an answer.
Yeah.
Yes is an answer. Who was in the car with you?
My little sister,
How old is she?
11.
Do you have a driver's license?
Now I do, yeah.
Did you, on May 6th, have a driver's license?
No.
I assume you were taking your sister to school,
Yes.
and then you were taking yourself to school.
Yes.
This was in May. How long had you been driving your sister to school?
6 months.
Where was your mother?
At work.
Did you drop her off at work first?
No.
How does she get to work?
Her own car.
Who owns the car that you were driving?
My mom.
So your mom has 2 cars.
Yes.
What other adults live in your house?
Just my mom.
Your mother,
Yeah.
your sister,
Yeah.
and you.
Yeah.
When was the car purchased that you were driving with your sister?
It was a gift.
Who was it a gift to?
Me.
Whose name is it in?
My mom's.
When did you get it? Month and year. When did, don't speak to him. When did you get it?
January.
January of 2022.
Yes.
So that's why you had been driving your sister for 6 months.
Yes.
The car is in your name?
Yes, Your Honor.
You know that he has no right to drive a car.
He had a driver's permit.
I don't care if he had a permit. You know he has no right to drive a car with a minor in the car.
Well, he took some classes, and we were told by the instructor.
No, don't tell me what you were told by the instructor, madam. Your insurance company disclaimed on this if you had insurance because he's not allowed to drive a car. Is that correct?
Yes.
What insurance carrier do you have on your car?
AAA.
Who insures the car that he was driving?
AAA.
On your name?
Yes.
When he had this accident, the insurance company, AAA, disclaimed on the accident because he was driving the car.
Yes.
Did they drop you from your policy? Did they drop your policy?
No.
Did they raise your rates?
No, because I was changing insurance at that time when the accident happened.
So you had no insurance?
We had insurance.
Just look at me. On the 6th of May, do you have proof that there was insurance on the car that he was driving?
Yes, Your Honor.
what carrier?
AAA.
And when did you change carriers?
It was May 5th, but it wasn't going to be effected until the following week.
So you had no insurance?
I hadn't called AAA to let them know that I was changing insurance at that time.
Again, I don't believe.
I was changing.
Just a second. You have to understand, madam, that to make your life more comfortable so that you could go to work and your little girl could get to school, you let an unlicensed driver drive a car. You have to understand that because he could have killed her and the child. It's outrageous that you let your 17-year-old who didn't have a license drive your 11-year-old daughter, put them in a place where they were in harm's way. You're just very lucky that both of them weren't hurt. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. If you think I'm being harsh, sir, I watched you when you walked in. You thought this whole thing was a joke. You came in smiling. It's not a smiling thing. You did the wrong thing, and if you start doing the wrong thing when you're 17 years old, when you're 27 years old, your mother will come visit you someplace where you don't want to be. Do you understand?
I smile when I'm nervous.
Excuse me?
I smile when I'm nervous.
You smile when you're nervous. Yeah. Well, your mother smiles when she's nervous, too, because she was smiling, too.
Yeah.
When you walked in here. What, you're not smiling now? You mean you're not nervous now? You're not smiling now. Now you're not nervous. Now I would be nervous. If I were you, I would be nervous. See what I mean?
Yeah.
No. Tell me what happened 7:30 in the morning on the 6th of May, which was a school day and a work day.
Okay, yes, Your Honor. So I was driving straight like normal on East, on Pleasant Valley. And as I was going on a green light into my intersection.
Do you have a photograph? Do you have any?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
And May 6th was a Friday, just so you know. May 6th was a Friday.
Yeah. Thanks.
Paulina hands photos to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She examines images of a child's bruised shoulder and contused arm, then of a damaged red car.
Your car is the red car?
Yes, Your Honor.
This doesn't tell me anything, actually. It just shows your car totally destroyed. Do you have a police report?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see a police report.
Yeah, and I'll put it so she can kind of see my car, his car.
Paulina hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
This is the diagram that the police prepared.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were going straight?
Yes, Your Honor.
And he was making a left turn?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you were through the intersection?
Yes.
Looks as if you were through the intersection.
About to be. It was like in the middle of the intersection.
What kind of citations were you issued, sir?
Just without a license.
What?
Without a license.
Okay. I'm just letting you know, Ms. Jimenez, the plaintiff had visible injuries that the police noted. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The airbags went off?
All of them, Your Honor.
Other than the marks that you had on you as a result of the seatbelts and the airbags going off, did you have any other injuries?
So that was actually my son.
That was your son?
Yeah, that was my son because of the seatbelts. Mine were both of my arms because when the airbags deployed, it crushed all my side. So both of my arms were bleeding.
You were making a left turn?
Yeah.
She was going straight?
Yes.
You had a green light, but she was going straight and she had a green light. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That means you can't left turn. If she's going straight, that means she's got a green light. That's what it was. And you have to wait until she goes before you make a left turn.
Yeah.
Judy mocks Christopher's nod. He grins. Caption coming up.
Were they at the scene at the same time at any time?
No.
When your mother says that she asked Miss Cardoza, are you okay? That wasn't true.
No.
Was it true or it wasn't true?
And later today.
You have no proof here of anything. So I'm asking you, you want nothing or do you want your car back?
I want your $10,000.
I'd rather have my car back than nothing.
And I'm sorry.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Paulina, Norma, and Christopher.
Paulina Cardozo claims Norma Jimenez and her 17-year-old son, Christopher Espinoza, owe for damages resulting from a car crash.
Okay. Now, when you got there, you started to yell at her. You want to tell me why? You want to tell me why you were yelling at her?
I didn't even yell at her. I got to the place, and then there was somebody waiting for me and told me that she had just hit them, like the person that there was a witness.
Yeah.
There was somebody that saw
he hit her.
Well, there was somebody that saw the accident, but that person unfortunately couldn't be here.
Okay.
But
I'm asking you why you were yelling at her. Did you have a conversation with her?
I never had a conversation with her. I just asked her, "Are you okay?" And then she said, "They're taking my son to the hospital." That's all she said. And when I got there, the firefighter told me.
No, don't tell me what anybody told you, madam. Don't tell me what anybody told you. You called your mother?
Yes.
You used your cell phone?
No.
How did you call her?
My sister.
You used your sister's?
Yes.
And she came right over?
Yes.
Miss Cardoza was there when your mother got there?
Yes.
Do you want to answer me? Did your mother and Miss Cardoza, were they at the scene at the same time at any time?
No.
Before she was taken to the hospital?
No.
When your mother says that she asked Miss Cardoza, "Are you okay?" that wasn't true.
No.
Was it true or it wasn't true?
It was true.
It was true, so that well, how did she communicate with Miss Cardoza if she didn't ask her, if she wasn't there? I'm going to ask you again. Was your mother at the scene when Miss Cardoza was also at the scene?
Yes.
And did you tell your mother that the accident was Miss Cardoza's fault?
No.
What did you tell your mother?
That we got in a car accident.
She didn't ask you what happened? Come on.
Yes.
Come on. Your mother asked you what happened?
Yeah.
And what did you tell her?
What happened?
Well, let me hear what you told your mother happened.
I was going in East Pleasant Valley Road. I put my left turn signal to go to the left turn lane.
You were in the left turn lane?
Yes.
And?
I waited to turn and turn.
And?
I was there and she swerved in and hit me.
She what?
She swerved in and hit me.
She swerved and hit you while you were making a left turn. She swerved into you. That's what you told your mother?
Yes.
Yeah. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Paulina, then Norma.
I feel like she was very fair.
To my understanding, what they have told me is like he was allowed to drive.
It's been a hardship for us.
And that's why I let him drive.
I was scared. I didn't know if he had broken something or something worse.
I only asked her, "Are you guys okay? Like, what happened?" Somebody told me that it was you that hit them.
Till this day, it's haunting. My son doesn't like to get in the car anymore, so it's straining.
He wasn't even cited for the accident. He was cited for not having a license.
I think she thought it was my fault, and I feel like she still thinks it's my fault, but it was not my fault.
She was the one that hit him.
You need to have insurance, and you need to know how to drive.
I'm glad it's over.
Judy and Sarah.
This is a public service announcement to the governor of the state of California. Do everybody a favor. Propose legislation that mandates that if you drive without a license as an underage driver and you're caught and or have an accident, you are ineligible to get a driver's license until you're 25 years old. That would probably be a deterrent for some people. Something is wrong with the system. Those are my words for the day.
Case number 2061, Laura versus Burke. All parties, please step forward.
Michael Lara is suing car seller Donald Burke for a vintage car title.
Mr. Lara.
Yes, Your Honor.
You had a truck.
Yes.
And that truck was a 2007.
Yes, Your Honor.
Nissan Frontier.
Correct.
When did you purchase it?
I purchased it in 2019.
From whom?
From a private owner. I don't have his name, but I purchased it over on an auto app.
So you found it online?
Yeah.
So it's still online. How much did you pay for the car in 2019?
In 2010, I paid, $10,000.
I don't believe that. Let's try it one more time, Mr. Lara. Exactly how much did you pay for the car in 2019?
$10,000, Your Honor.
Show me a bill of sale.
I don't have that bill of sale from back then.
Okay.
I have only the title that I had.
Okay. Let's assume for the moment that that's almost accurate, because the truck is now worth
somewhere between $8,000 and $9,000.
So that would be a depreciation. So now it's worth $8,000.
Okay.
You decided to sell it.
Correct. To trade it.
And you put an ad online to sell it?
Yes, I did.
You, Mr. Burke, had a 1947 classic Chrysler sedan.
Yes.
When did you get that?
Beginning of the year.
Beginning of
22.
And where did you get it from?
A car dealer had it for sale.
Car dealer where?
Montclair, California.
You remember the name of the car deal?
No, ma'am, I don't.
But it was the beginning of 2022.
Yes.
And was it an ad online?
No, I was driving by and saw the car. I kind of liked the way it looked.
How much did you pay for it?
$12,500.
Do you have a bill of sale?
No.
That was just this year. Why don't you have a bill of sale?
I have the registration and title.
I don't need the registration and title. I need a bill of sale.
I don't have one.
Difference when you buy it from a private party, but if you buy, do you have, it was the beginning of January. How did you pay for the car?
Cash.
Cash. Do you have a withdrawal from your bank of $12,500 to show me?
No, I don't.
Well, how do you expect me to decide this case? You have a claim, you have a counterclaim. Nobody has any proof. How do you expect me to decide? Each of you is suing the other for $10,000 without any proof of anything. How do you expect me to decide that?
Correct, Your Honor.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
You got it?
Yes.
Caption coming up.
You have the title, you have the keys, you have the truck. Understand this. Neither one of you are leaving here with a penny. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
No, I don't. Judy shrugs. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Michael and Donald.
Michael Lara claims car seller Donald Burke owes him the title to a vintage car. Donald is countersuing, claiming Michael broke their agreement.
Okay. Do you have a car now?
Yes, I have a 2001 GMC truck.
No. You have his car.
Oh, yes, I have his car. Yes.
You
Your Honor.
have his car.
Yes.
And you have his truck.
Yes.
Judy shrugs.
What do you want me to do?
I wasn't the one that started this.
Okay, Your Honor.
He doesn't have the title.
Well, he never produced the money that he was supposed to produce.
I have his title to his vehicle. He signed it over to me, and he gave me the keys as well.
Okay. I didn't ask you anything. Well, I want you have the title, you have the keys, you have the truck.
Correct, Your Honor.
My question to you is, you have the title to his car. He paid, let's assume he's correct, that he paid $12,500 for the car in the beginning of 2022. That car, which is a classic car, is now for sale, because I looked it up, I don't remember the numbers, for?
Between $18,000 and $60,000 on the high end of what I've seen.
Okay, so it's worth considerably more than what you paid for it. Roughly $10,000 more than what you paid for it, right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
You don't know him, do you?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
There would be no reason why he would make you a gift. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you have the title for that car.
Yes.
Because you say, according to you, that he didn't fulfill his promise.
Correct.
His contract to pay you an additional amount for it. Now, you say he agreed to pay you an additional $10,000 for it.
Yes.
I don't know that because none of it's in writing. Anybody have any proof of that?
No, Your Honor.
No. Good. And you want your car back.
I would just...
You want your car. Well, I'm not giving you $10,000. I want you to just understand that.
Yes.
Because you have no proof here of anything that satisfies me. So I'm asking you, you want nothing or do you want your car back?
What's your $10,000?
I'd rather have my car back than nothing.
You'd rather than have your car back. And
I'm sorry.
You have the car.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And you put in some money in the truck.
Yes, the catalytic converters were bad.
How much money did you put into the truck?
$2,165.
Okay. And you have proof of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where?
Donald's witness raises her hand.
Can I help him?
I don't need you for anything.
Here.
A document.
And it still needs another $2,165 for the other side.
And you have the title to the car, is that right?
Yes.
Now, do you want nothing or do you want your truck back, even though he added money to it? Do you want nothing or do you want your truck back? That's my question to you. You want nothing or you want your truck back?
My truck.
Great. And you want your car back?
Yes.
Perfect. And both of you have agreed, because there was clearly some misunderstanding between the two of you, giving you the total benefit of the doubt, sir, that there was additional money to be forthcoming. I'm speaking. Understand this. Neither one of you are leaving here with a penny. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand?
No, I don't. I put
Very,
$2,000
very,
into
very,
his truck. I
very, very
repaired his
easy.
truck.
Very easy, sir. You're getting back a car that you say is worth, she says, is worth $20,000.
Your Honor, sorry.
It's not going to work for you. You're going to each end up with your own cars back. Since there was clearly a misunderstanding about the nature of the contract, what I'm telling you is I'm going to prepare an order that within 5 days of today's date, you are to exchange cars. Figure out where you want to do that, a mutually convenient place. That's the order of the court. Goodbye.
Court is adjourned.
Not even the $2,000 I put into his truck?
Goodbye.
This way, sir.
You can sell your 47 for a lot more money.
Outside the courtroom, Donald, then Michael.
I didn't bring us here. He brought us here.
I liked his car. He liked my truck. When I got there, we did the exchange. He signed the titles. He gave me the keys to the vehicle.
Well, he gave me a truck that needed a $4,000 repair, and he didn't mention that when he gave it to me. And my car, was nothing wrong with my car.
I have always maintained my vehicle. I have records of it and everything.
I'll just keep my car.
No more business deals.
Sarah and Judy.
So I really agree with you that there was no meeting of the minds because the defendant thought that the plaintiff was going to pay him an additional $10,000 for the 1947 Chrysler, and no one had any proof of anything. So it's really hard to come to court with zero proof on either side. So I think your ruling to leave them how they were found prior to any what they believed to be a contract was the right decision because...
I'm so glad you felt that way.
Well, I mean, I was thinking to myself, looking over the papers, what's she going to do with this one? You know, it's hard because with no proof and a he said, she said verbal agreements with tangible items like vehicles, I probably would have done the same thing. I don't know what to make of this. I have nothing to look at, nothing to rely on.